Yuji Tai found himself completely alone, standing in the middle of destroyed buildings and broken streets from his sixth attempt at life. Everything had gone wrong once more. Giant beasts and flying dragons filled every corner of the sky, and he watched helplessly as the entire planet crumbled before his very eyes. For just a moment, he caught himself wondering whether things might have turned out differently if he'd only listened to what people told him way back when. Deep down, he convinced himself that he felt satisfied with every decision he'd ever made, claiming he wouldn't change a single thing. Yugi Tae, who was currently living through his sixth lifetime in this nightmare of a world, had figured out by this point that making mistakes and growing from them was the only thing that really counted. Gripping the shapeless blade tightly, he simply continued moving ahead, solving problems whenever they appeared. Giving up and watching history repeat itself wasn't something he could accept, which is why he charged directly at the enormous flying reptiles without any hesitation whatsoever. He threw himself completely into battle, refusing to hold anything back while he fought his way through every single creature and dragon blocking his way forward. Eventually exhausted, he just stood there on top of the destroyed buildings, staring out at the endless waves of monsters that kept approaching. Despite defeating countless enemies, he understood deep in his heart that they would always return. Suddenly appearing before his eyes, a notification from the system informed him that Earth had officially entered its final apocalyptic stage. That was the proof. He had completely failed to rescue the world. Despite his total failure, massive clockwork gears made of pure gold materialized across the entire sky. The ancient timepiece began using its mysterious abilities to manipulate time itself, preparing to turn everything backward. He closed both eyes tightly, allowing himself to surrender to the process, believing that all his hard work and sacrifices had actually meant something important. Right at that exact moment, the system announced its message, explaining that the entire planet's history was being completely rewound. Everything suddenly jumped backward through time, and every single person living in the city found themselves standing outside on the sidewalks, looking upward. A strange purple-colored portal was suspended in the air above them, and absolutely nobody could tear their eyes away. It had captured everyone's complete focus, like something absolutely insane had just appeared in real life. A few individuals began suggesting that someone should contact the police department, since the whole situation seemed really suspicious and dangerous. One man remained totally calm, attempting to relax his obviously frightened buddy, and pretending like whatever was happening up there posed absolutely no danger to anyone. Without any warning at all, terrifying creatures exploded through the portal and rushed directly toward the person who had simply been trying to take a quick picture. Everyone standing nearby completely froze in shock, watching helplessly as the monsters attacked and killed him immediately. Cell phones crashed onto the pavement, and crimson blood splattered in every direction as people began panicking and screaming at the top of their lungs. In an instant, the entire peaceful atmosphere of the modern 21st century just completely changed. Mysterious portals appeared across every location, and the planet essentially transformed into one massive war zone. Completely without warning, thousands of armored warriors, terrifying beasts, and all sorts of unbelievable creatures began pouring through the gates. Everything pointed toward humanity facing total extinction from this absolutely crazy invasion happening all around them. Certain individuals began demonstrating a brand new type of ability, and that discovery basically launched what everybody eventually called the New Era. Young people who displayed special talents were collected from every corner of the globe and transported to an artificial island called Hateling, where they underwent constant training to handle the threats that never stopped coming. The entire location transformed and became the Global Academy City, which marked the official beginning of Lair. As the seventh timeline started up, the returner appeared right at that exact spot, prepared for whatever challenges awaited. In a dark and dangerous alleyway, a criminal had cornered a woman, pressing a sharp knife against her while shouting at bystanders to stay back or face consequences. The terrified woman was completely losing control with fear. Police officers surrounded him from all directions, commanding Joe Ho Shik to deactivate his special ability and surrender peacefully. However, Joe simply refused to move, thinking to himself that nothing mattered anymore because his life was already finished. Therefore, he decided he would take as many people down as possible. Appearing from absolutely nowhere, Yujita materialized directly behind the criminal, maintaining a relaxed demeanor while informing him that the command was to surrender immediately. The lawbreaker completely froze, absolutely shocked because he never noticed anyone approaching from behind. His mind raced, trying to understand exactly when this person had even arrived. Without warning, he rushed forward at Yujitai, attacking wildly like he was trying to prove something important. Yujitai simply moved to the side, calm and effortless, dodging the attack like it required zero effort. He delivered a powerful strike and explained clearly that he wasn't just some ordinary police officer, he represented the entire police force, genuinely and truly. The lawbreaker collapsed onto the concrete instantly and lost consciousness right away. Yugite thought quietly to himself that he seriously needed to relax and stop using his full power every single time. Looking down at his own hand, he suddenly realized he had completely forgotten about controlling his incredible strength while pretending to be Officer Yugite from the Laird District Police Department. The following morning at the police headquarters, one of his colleagues explained exactly what happened during the incident with Joe Ho-shik. Apparently, after an intense pursuit, Joe became trapped inside some stores and desperately grabbed an innocent bystander to use as a hostage. His fellow officer noticed the criminal lying unconscious on the floor and appeared pretty confused, questioning why this person was even brought here. Yujitai casually dismissed the concern, explaining that he simply offered the guy transportation since he was already traveling in that direction anyway. A female police officer approached, obviously wanting to receive the incident paperwork, but she hesitated for a brief moment. Rather than requesting it, she just offered a quick and somewhat uncomfortable expression of gratitude before walking away. She observed to herself that Yujitai had somehow transformed. He appeared significantly taller now, and honestly speaking, he was considerably more attractive than her previous memories of him. Another officer walked closer, completely excited, mentioning that he'd already received news about Joe Hosik getting captured successfully. She became really upset and criticized him for using excessive force against the criminal, concerned that someone might file an official complaint about it eventually. Meanwhile, Yujitai just remained standing there, completely unbothered by her comments. Yujitai looked around the entire room, recognizing that he knew absolutely nobody here. Every person present was basically a complete stranger, which totally made sense considering he hadn't attended work even once since the timeline reset happened. He handed the arrested criminal over to his team members and instructed them to handle everything from this point forward. He had abandoned his normal life and initiated the time reversal process specifically to prevent Earth's destruction, all triggered by the death of the young dragons. These young creatures who had been raised over in the land of Asclepius arrived on Earth hoping to enjoy themselves and create some pleasant experiences. Throughout all that destruction and violence, certain people just completely lost their minds from the never-ending battles. They couldn't cope with it, lost all control of themselves, and ultimately didn't survive. Other individuals just collapsed entirely, destroyed by all the hatred and blame directed toward them. Some warriors literally chose to end their own lives when they realized they couldn't complete the important missions assigned to them. The fully grown dragons, absolutely enraged after losing their precious offspring, launched a devastating attack and brought complete destruction down upon humanity. Even though the returner continued growing stronger with each new lifetime, he still couldn't solve every problem all by himself. For this particular attempt, he decided he would completely change his strategy and try a totally different method instead. He was preparing to leave when the female officer interrupted and asked what his plans were after finishing his work shift. Shiley proposed that they should visit a brand new restaurant for dinner as a pair. Yugite declined her invitation, informing her that he already had other commitments. When she pressed him for more information, he kept his response brief. He was traveling to Europe.
Now, the story jumps over to Florence, Italy. Out on the grass, a girl with green hair is hanging out with some kids, laughing and putting together flower crowns. Yujitai stands back, just watching her do her thing. Yujitai spots the girl with green hair hanging out in the park and heads over to say hey. She turns around and just stares at him, eyes wide, like she totally didn't see that coming. He looks her straight in the eyes, not messing around, and lets her know she's going with him. She uses her fallen babble power to figure out what he said, then awkwardly greets him back. He goes up to her, not wasting time, just says he needs to talk to her about something important. She just wants to know why he's even looking for her in the first place. He wants to know if she actually remembers who she is, and he lets her know that he's got it figured out. He wants to know if she remembers him. She says his name, Yujitai, super clear, so there's no way she forgot. She gives a harmless smile, checking if she got it right. Yujitai's face tightens as he starts to look suspicious, trying to figure out how she even knows who he is. She spots the ID badge clipped to his shirt. Right away, he notices his name is right there, super obvious. She lets out an awkward laugh, clearly trying to play it off like she was just kidding around. She acts like she doesn't know anything about him or what he does, hoping to smooth things over. She catches herself and admits she really just noticed one thing, that he's got insane power and honestly, he doesn't fit in here at all. Yujitai just goes quiet for a second. She wonders if he showed up to end her, but he shakes his head, letting her know that's not what he's here for. She starts freaking out, wondering if they're getting kidnapped. He tells her it's kinda like that. She messes around, making jokes about what he's really after with the dragons, but he's not having it. He shuts her down quick, letting her know he's done with the jokes. He lets her know he's just trying to keep her safe since things out here are wild. If she doesn't listen, he's not afraid to get tough about it. He notices that the Green Dragon Clan's eyes let her pick up on stuff way faster than everyone else, almost like she's got a sixth sense for what's going on. She really hoped she'd make the right call, considering where she came from. She flashes a sneaky smile, basically wondering if he'd go easy on her as long as she plays by his rules. Yugi-tai nods, basically saying yes to what she wants. She knows she can't really do anything else, but she makes it clear she wants to be treated like a guest, not just ignored. She shoots him a quick wink, kind of teasing, and wants to hear him swear he'll do it. She holds out her pinky toward him. Yuji-tai notices and figures she's probably scared of him. Before he goes along with it, they link their pinkies and make a promise, kicking off something weird between them. It's the next morning, and she's peeking out from behind the door, rocking an oversized shirt. She's trying to see if the master's up yet. She steps into the living room and spots Yuji-tai just sitting there, this weird dark vibe hanging around him. She gets a little tense and calls out to him, hoping he'll snap out of it. He stays chill as he directs the shadows, not stressing at all, just making it clear that everything's cool if they do what he says. The shadows start forming right in front of him, following his lead. Out of nowhere, the shadows come together and turn into a perfect copy of him. The clone lowers its head, showing respect and following his lead. The copy walks right past the girl and she just freezes. It's wild how they look exactly the same. She can't even process it. Yuji-tai shrugs it off, saying it's nothing important, just someone stepping in for him at work. Then he checks if she got some decent sleep. She drops down beside him, catching on that he's not actually heading to work. He breaks it down for her. His shadow clone is handling the job, so technically, he's still the one on the grind. Yuji-tai lets her know he's not going anywhere. She gives a small, awkward laugh, kind of getting what he's hinting at. She brings up breakfast, trying to chill out the awkward vibe, and takes a seat next to him while he's busy scrolling through the newspaper. She points out that he totally missed dinner the night before, and even though he acts like he doesn't care at first, she keeps pushing, saying it's just weird to eat by herself when the person who owns the place isn't eating too. Yuji-tai looked at her and wondered if she was always this into food. He kind of pointed out that, as a dragon, she didn't actually need to eat to survive. She just smiles, looking pretty chill as she swings her feet and says it's not really about just getting by. For her, good food is all about the good vibes and hype it brings. Out of nowhere, she jumps up, super hyped, saying she can't just sit around like this. She decides it's time to go shopping and isn't taking no for an answer. He wanted to prove just how clutch breakfast could be, even though the guy kept saying he was good. They pull up to the huge S-Mart, ready to check it out. When the girl showed up, everyone started noticing her right away. She just had that look that made people stop and stare. At the same time, the guy with her had everyone talking about how good he looked. She strolls down the aisles, humming to herself, totally in her own world. He's right behind her, just chilling with a relaxed look on his face. Yuji-tai spots all the stuff piling up and wonders if it's a bit much just for breakfast. She's hyped though, saying the kitchen's wiped out and they need to stock up on essentials if they're planning to cook later. She really just wants to get back in the kitchen right away, but Yuji-tai isn't about that. He figures he'll take the stuff home first, then head out to grab some food. He stops her out of nowhere and tells her they've got somewhere else to be, catching her off guard. She seems a little let down since she was actually having a good time shopping. He keeps pushing, saying breakfast time's over and there's important stuff she needs if she's gonna stay here. He says they need to get moving since there's a ton left on their plate, and she just stands there, confused about what's got him in such a rush. They pull up to this sketchy spot and the girl checks out the place, trying to figure out what's up. Out of nowhere, this old dude with a robotic eye shows up, grinning like he knows something, and starts messing with Yuji-tai about whether the girl with him is his girlfriend. Yuji-tai just stares him down, basically telling him to keep quiet and get back to work unless he wants to mess up his other eye too. Not long after, the girl steps out, holding up an official-looking ID card. She couldn't believe she finally had her own ID. It was her first one ever, and she just kept looking at it, kind of hyped that she actually owned something official now. Yuji-tai can't believe what he's hearing. He wonders how she managed to live on Earth for so long without any ID or even a bank account. She looks at the card and spots her new name, U-Bomb. It gets her wondering why he picked Bomb for her after giving her his own family name. Yuji-tai glanced up at the sign that said 4 Seasons and talked about how the name came from the 4 seasons. Since there are 4 dragons, he picked the name Bomb Spring just for her. She grinned, totally hyped about the name. You could tell she thought it was awesome. He thought about how spring always feels alive, and then she mentioned her name. It really stood out to him as something special. While they're walking together, she just comes out and lets him know she isn't scared of him anymore. Even though she said what she did, her dragon eyes could still pick up the weird dark vibe hanging around him, letting her know he was seriously dangerous. She just smiles at him and says she doesn't think he's a bad guy. He looks at her, kinda serious, and wonders how she could know that after only hanging out for a day. She keeps moving ahead of him, totally sure of herself. She says her gut always knows what's up. No one can top it, all because she's repping the Green Dragon clan. Bong grins and hopes she'll stick around to watch him a bit more. Yuji-tai spots a real, genuine smile from the Green Dragon, something he's never seen in all his past runs. Then Bomb calls him over to help set up for dinner. Walking along, he realizes this start actually isn't bad. Under the moonlight, the view switches to a wide, empty stretch of land somewhere in Africa. The ground looks dry and lifeless, and there's nothing around but shadows. A red-haired girl stood over the guy she just beat, pretty much roasting him for bragging about being strong when he went down so fast. She just steps right onto the guy's face with her army boots, not even caring that he's yelling or freaking out. He goes in with a brutal kick that shuts the guy up for good, bones snapping hard. She let out a cold laugh, looking down at the guy on the ground, kind of roasting him in her head and wondering if he was actually out because she went way too hard. She rocked a skull mask and flexed how she was full of energy, talking about crushing it with 199 wins and never taking an L. She stared ahead, eager to find out who she'd face next, a hungry grin on her face. All over the news, everyone's talking about a huge fight breaking out in South Africa. A terrorist group named Varkata just started dropping airstrikes, and things are getting wild. There were rumors going around about some monster called the Night Fighter going head-to-head with the South African Union. Yuji Tai sits at his desk, eyes glued to the screen as the news plays out. He knows this is it. The moment he's been waiting for is finally here. Without hesitating, he gets ready to make his move. Bomb shows up and knocks on the door, letting him know dinner's ready. He doesn't waste any time and heads out right away. Bomb comes to the dinner table acting super confident, showing off this wild-looking dish whole fish just sticking straight up out of some weird purple rice. He slides it over to Yujit, basically waiting for a reaction, like he knows he nailed it. She remembers seeing this sardine dish while she was in England, and the idea just stuck. She thought if she mixed it up with rice, it could actually work, especially since rice is pretty much a staple for Koreans. The fish just sat there with its mouth wide open, looking like it wanted out, and everyone stopped talking all at once. Yuji Tai looked straight up annoyed, like he couldn't believe this was happening right now. Yuji Tai sat down to eat, but he couldn't keep quiet about his plan for tomorrow. He told his friend he was going after the red, and Bomb's face totally changed. He looked stunned, like he didn't see that one coming. She lets him know straight up that what he's about to do isn't going to be easy. Taking her along is going to be a real challenge, and she's not just going to listen to him like before. He wants her to come with him, hoping it'll help change her mind, but she's not sure what the point is. Usually, clans like theirs don't even mess with each other. Yuji Tai didn't expect everyone to want such different things. It kind of threw him off, seeing how everyone was on their own path. Bomb lets it be known she likes to take her time and build things up slowly, but the Red Dragon clan? They're on a whole other level, doing everything fast and wild, nothing like her style. She lays it out. The Red Dragon clan is all about fighting and showing off just how strong they are. If anyone tries to take her down by force, it's not just risky, it's straight up asking for trouble. Surrendering to them isn't just losing, it's basically the worst thing that could happen. Yugite looks her dead in the eye, letting her know things could get risky if they wait any longer. He breaks it down. Someone's already on her trail, hunting her down, and if things keep going like this, the red one's not making it out. He lets her know that the only way things stay chill and nobody throws hands is if she comes along with him. Bomb stared at him, honestly caught off guard. She didn't expect him to just come out and ask for help like that. She always figured he'd just handle everything by himself, like he never let anyone else help, no matter how tough things got. She flashes a quick smile, nodding that she's down to help out. She's not about to let Red get taken out either. She lifts a finger with a sneaky look, letting everyone know she's got one rule before things can move forward. Bomb stared at Yuji Tai, all serious, making sure he finished everything on his plate. She'd caught on right away when he stopped eating and set his spoon down as soon as someone mentioned the red. Yuji Tai suddenly goes quiet, staring at the floor. His nerves are kicking in now, since he knows she just picked up on how anxious he actually is. The camera pans over a wrecked city, bodies of soldiers sprawled all over the place. Right in the middle of all the chaos, the red-haired girl stands alone, taking it all in. She glances down at the soldiers sprawled out on the ground, not even trying to hide how unimpressed she is. In her head, she can't help but roast these guys for being so weak. She's pretty annoyed that her 200th win turned out so lame, and now she's just thinking about where to go next. With nobody left to challenge her in Africa, her mind drifts to Europe. Maybe it's time to check out the green over there. Behind the wall, two soldiers are shaking, totally freaked out by what's happening. To them, everything going on is just straight-up chaos. Everyone's buzzing about how the whole top squad got taken out by just one girl, calling her some kind of battle-obsessed beast. One of the soldiers looks at her and knows there's no way he can handle this on his own. He's just hoping the guy they're waiting for shows up fast. Out of nowhere, the girl shows up right above them, totally calling them out for acting all sneaky in the dark. The soldier spins around, totally freaked out, yelling that she's right behind them. She comes at them super fast, way quicker than anyone expected, and the soldier instantly knows he's done for. Just as she goes in for the attack, a bright golden light pops up out of nowhere and shuts her down. She pulls back fast, totally thrown off, trying to figure out how the mana in front of her could be that strong. Both sides crashed into each other, and the whole place exploded with a crazy loud noise. The soldiers just stood there, stunned, not really processing how she actually broke through the mana using her weapon. At that moment, everyone knew for sure she was on a whole different level. Out of nowhere, this massive armored knight shows up, checking if the woman is actually the knight Rakshasa. Meanwhile, the soldiers are hyped, all calling out Javier's name like he just saved the day. Javier Karma, who's ranked number 8 among the African Union superhumans, stands there with this bright gold light all around him. He tells his squad to get the injured out and pull back. She calls him Appa, just messing around, and admits his hit was actually strong. Right away, she figures out he must be the boss. Javier spots that she's actually a girl and way smaller than he thought. She just drops her sword, messing around and teasing him, saying dudes always act this way. That's the real reason she keeps her mask on. She lets Javier know she's pretty sure people just get thrown off by her looks, so nobody actually gives her a real challenge. Javier, not buying it, wonders why she doesn't just call it quits if she can tell he's way stronger. She just started laughing like she'd lost it, totally brushing off the idea of bailing just because her weapon snapped. She lets her real power loose. She made it clear she'd rather throw hands until the end than give up and walk away embarrassed. She charges at him, moving super fast, and starts landing punch after punch, mixing in some kicks, all hitting his tough armor nonstop. She notices an opening in his defense and can't help but get hyped. She throws a sneaky punch right where it hurts most. She just stands there, frozen, when she realizes Javier isn't moving at all, not even blinking, even after taking that hit. Javier just stares at her, his face totally unreadable. He figures she's probably never gone up against anyone tougher than her, so every fight she's had must have felt like a walk in the park, just another game to her. His eye lit up gold, showing he could see how crazy talented she was, but he wasn't about to mess around with whatever trick she had planned. He lifts his massive sword up, ready to strike, while the girl barely manages to dodge out of the way, terrified. Javier activates his Blade of Raw ignition skill. The red-haired girl clocks the attack coming at her, but there's no way she can get out of the way in time. She squares up and gets ready to take the hit, and then everything lights up around her, almost blinding. She gets launched straight into the rock wall so hard that the whole thing cracks and chunks of stone go flying everywhere. Javier stood there in his armor while the dust settled, realizing she was on a whole other level. She made him upgrade his defense in a split second just to handle her attack, and now he knew he had to step up his own power if he wanted a shot at winning. Once the dust starts to clear, Javier stares at the busted-up wall, kind of stunned. He can't help but think the girl might have dipped out. Bomb crouched behind some broken concrete, clutching the Red and keeping her hand over her mouth so she wouldn't make a sound. Red spots her sister and just freezes, totally surprised to see her there. Bomb keeps it low-key and lets her know she showed up to help after hearing she was having some trouble. Red gets irritated when she steps in, making fun of the thought that Bomb would show up to save her, especially since she can't even throw hands. But Bomb stays serious, letting her know straight up that if she keeps this up, she could actually end up dead. Red knocks her sister's hand aside, determined to handle this fight herself. She's all in, ready to see it through no matter what happens, and she makes it clear she doesn't want any backup. Bomb shoots her a hard stare, making it clear he's not messing around. If she goes down, the good times are over, no question. Bomb started patching up her sister's arm with her magic, not missing a beat to remind her that if something happened to her, it wouldn't just be her problem. The whole clan had plans for Earth, and messing that up was the last thing anyone wanted. Bomb gave a soft, harmless smile, showing she really wanted to stick around on Earth, then turned to her sister, hoping she'd back her up. Red just goes quiet for a second, kinda stunned at how insanely strong her opponent is. She knows if they try to bail, they'll get caught instantly. But then Bomb steps in, letting her know the old guy's got this covered. She wasn't expecting anyone else to show up, so seeing Bomb there caught her off guard. Bomb just grinned, like he already knew she wouldn't be rolling solo. Out of nowhere, Yuji-Tai just pulls up onto the battlefield. Javier glances over at the guy, trying to figure out who just showed up. Yuji-Tai stands there, totally locked in, giving off this strong, powerful vibe. He just says straight up that he's her guardian, not wasting any words. Javier starts clowning on the answer, making it clear he doesn't buy that Yuji-Tai needs anyone to look out for him. Meanwhile, Yugi-Tai just stares him down, eyes cold, not giving anything away. Red leans out from behind the wall, checking if this is the guy her sister mentioned. Bomb, not taking any chances, tells her to stay hidden since things could get risky real quick. Yuji-Tai steps in, trying to chill everyone out. He lets the knight know things aren't as simple as they look and hints that maybe it's time to call it for now. Javier shuts down the offer, clearly pissed. He thinks the girl totally went too far this time, and he's not about to just let it slide. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai just points out she hasn't actually killed anybody. Yuji-Tai could tell the vibe was getting tense, like the knight itself was daring him to mess around. It was clear this wasn't the time for jokes or clever comebacks. Yuji-Tai steps up, hoping he can work something out. He says the girl won't show up here again and asks if they can just let it slide without making a scene. Javier totally loses it, not backing off at all. He makes it clear this spot belongs to the African Union, and his sword starts glowing with some serious power. He steps up and says he's a Union investigator, making it clear he's about to take down Yuji-Tai and the girl he's supposed to be looking out for. Right then, he powers up, ready to fight. He yells loud and swings his sword down hard, sending out a blast of golden energy straight at Yuji-Tai. Smoke shoots up from the explosion, filling the air with dust. Javier stands there unfazed, basically calling out his opponent. If this guy is really the one guarding that monster, he's not going to get taken out by just a hit like this. Yujitai just pops up behind him, not even a mark on him, looking totally unfazed. There's this dark vibe around him, and he just seems bored, like all of this is nothing to him. He quietly throws shade at himself, thinking it's kind of embarrassing to be ranked 8th among superhumans when he can barely stretch. Javier freezes up, heart pounding, trying to figure out when this guy even showed up behind him. Right as the knight gets ready to use the blade of Ra, Yugite just breaks through his guard super fast and takes out the hand with the sword before the knight even knows what's up. Yujitai walks up to Javier, taking his time. He leans in, his voice icy, making sure Javier gets it. Today's about to be the absolute worst for him. He tells him how, when he was working as an investigator, he went after that girl to arrest her, but things went sideways when he ran into some monster he'd never seen before. Because things just weren't going his way, he missed blocking the first hit. That cost him both his arms and his sight, and while he was down, the monster and the girl took off together. Javier yells out, trying to get him to stop, but Yujitai just keeps going, laying it on thick and making it clear that Javier is not going to remember any of this for long. Yujitai takes out the knight's other arm and eyes in one brutal move. He's not even worried, thinking the Union's healing guys can basically fix him up if he survives. Yujite knows how to get in his opponent's head. He's all about making them scared, thinking that if you mess with someone's mind, it sticks way longer. That's just how he stays in charge. He keeps telling himself that even this wild young dragon, calling itself Night Fighter, has to follow the same rules as everyone else. Red stares at the chaos, wide-eyed and frozen. He can't believe what he's seeing and turns to Bomb, needing to know what that creature is. Bomb just stays chill and says he's human, not some monster. Red doesn't buy it though. She pretty much clowns him, acting like if Bomb's human, then she's a straight-up lizard. Yujite looks over at them, calls the red dragon by her title, and lets her know straight up that she's moving in with him now. From here on out, she's staying at his place, and he's got her back. He tells her he'll let her do her own thing, as long as it makes sense, and he's got her back if she ever needs help. He suddenly switches up, his face getting way more serious, and makes it clear she's in for real trouble if she steps over the line with him. Red's hands start shaking, clearly freaked out, while Bomb steps in, trying to keep things chill, and lets everyone know he'll break it all down later. Red just starts yelling, totally confused about why this guy's being so intense, but Bomb just shoots him a quick wink, like he's messing around. Yujite calls her Yuyo Rium, which means summer, and tells her not to forget it. Then he just dips, not really waiting around, so the two girls head out after him. Bomb leaned over to her friend, messing around and hinting that she'd gotten taller since the last time they hung out. Red just wasn't having it. She clearly wasn't in the mood for jokes and let Bomb know she was annoyed. Yugiti's shadow lets everyone know the job's done. At that moment, the story jumps over to the Amazon rainforest. The real Yujitai is just chilling there, hanging out with a stunning blonde girl by his side. He cuts off the link with his shadow double and thinks to himself that it did its job well. He thinks back and knows he made the right call by sending Bomb. The red is kind of unpredictable, and there's no way he would have gotten through to her by himself. The blonde girl cuts him off, looking curious, and wants to know who he's talking to. She laughs, all smiles, pointing straight at his smartwatch. She's clearly curious if he always talks to himself like this. Right then, her title, the Golden Dragon, pops up. She was the kind of girl who always stood out, grabbing everyone's attention without even trying. In all three of her lives, she was basically the main character, always in the spotlight. Funny thing is, her life was at its peak when she ended up causing the biggest messes. All the hype and fans can look cool, but honestly, it gets old and kind of messes with your head. That's why she dipped out to this far-off spot, even though the game is what brought her here in the first place. She walked up to Yujitai, eyes locked on the floating screen. She couldn't hide how impressed she was, totally into how crisp and clear everything looked. She moves around him, looking pretty hyped, and can't help but notice that the last person she ran into didn't have anything like this. Yujitai looks at her, trying to figure out why she'd even be somewhere like this. He points out that if she wanted to play this game for real, she probably should have been living with regular people instead of hiding out in a place crawling with monsters and bugs. She didn't expect him to know about the game, but he just let her know it was the Green Dragon who put him on. Yujitai looks at the blonde girl, the one everyone calls the Golden Dragon, wondering if people freak her out. She pauses for a second, clearly nervous, then lets it out. She's not straight up scared, but living with them before really sucked. Some people gave her weird looks, and others wouldn't leave her alone. They were always following her around. All that attention honestly freaked her out. For a second, neither of them says anything. She's stuck thinking about those awkward memories, and it's kind of heavy in the air. Yujitai suddenly throws out a random question about bread, catching her off guard. She looks at him, kind of confused, and lets him know that dragons actually don't have to eat at all. He pulls out a bag from the shallow abyss move, and right away this awesome smell hits. She's totally caught off guard. She walks over, checking it out, and when she catches the scent, she can't believe it's actually fresh bread right in front of her. Yujitai nods, and her eyes get huge when she spots the golden pastries. They seriously catch her attention. She couldn't stop staring at the donuts, berry tarts, and egg tarts piled up in front of her. Her mouth started watering right away as she looked at all that food and wondered why he'd show up with so much. Yujitai spots his chance and asks her to come with him, figuring it's way better than just hanging around in this empty forest. He lets her know her friends are around and there's nothing to worry about here, telling her to just chill and have fun with her game like the other dragons are doing. She stops for a second, wipes her mouth, and suddenly remembers her mom told her not to trust random people. Yujitai just turned around, barely looking at her, and said he'd get her some macarons. She gives in right away, not even caring about any of the red flags. The view jumps to the city. Red is out on a balcony, leaves drifting down around her. You can tell she's annoyed, it's all over her face. She thinks back to the last time she ran into Yujitai, getting annoyed all over again as she grumbles to herself. Bomb stands in the apartment staring at the red light glowing inside. Yujitai walks into the apartment with this barefoot blonde girl tagging along. She's hyped, saying the sausage bread he had was way better than any fancy sausage back where she's from. If you don't believe her, just ask Alipa. She grabs a macaron and takes a bite, her eyes lighting up right away. She thinks it's basically next level, with that crispy outside and super soft center that just hits different. Bomb spots Yujitai coming back and welcomes him. Yuji's got his mouth stuffed with food, barely able to react. Out of nowhere, the blonde totally loses it when he spots Bomb, getting hyped like he just saw his favorite streamer in real life. She pulls her in for a tight, warm hug, showing just how much she missed her. She can't help but notice how the girl looks even better than before, almost like she's leveled up since the last time they saw each other. The girl looks around, kind of wondering if it's just her and the guy in this place. Bomb lets her know she's not really a regular here either, and then nods toward the Red, who's hanging out close by. Yujitai stood in front of his shadow clone, the one that just got back from the mission. He gave it a quick nod for pulling through, then told it to head back. Red stands by the balcony door, clearly annoyed, shooting a look at Yujitai. He catches her stare, but she quickly glances off, not wanting to deal with him right now. The blonde dude sees her and calls out her name, sounding super hyped. The blonde dude walks up to the red-haired guy, but right away catches a whiff of smoke in the air. He can't help but think how the Red Dragon Clan is always into stuff that's bad for you, and it kinda grosses him out. Red suddenly lunges forward and slaps her hand over the blonde's mouth, fast and rough. Red bursts all around her, almost like it's trying to drag her out if she doesn't quit running her mouth, showing everyone she's still got that wild side. Yujitai chills on the couch across from the three girls in the living room. He just comes right out and asks how old they are, not wasting any time. Bomb just smiles calmly and says she's 20, while the blonde girl, all hyped up, lets everyone know she's 10. Bomb mentions that Urium is 15. Urium just sits there, leaning her head on her hand, not really paying attention to what's going on around her. The blonde jumps in, all fired up, saying dragons level up way quicker than humans. She's pretty proud of how she looks and makes it clear she doesn't want anyone treating her like a kid. Yorum notices and thinks she's got a point. She definitely stands out. The blonde dude switches things up and starts asking Yorum about her name, wondering if it's just a fake name. Yorum just kind of brushes it off and acts like she has no clue what he's talking about. Bomb steps in, kind of awkward, letting everyone know the master was the one who gave her that name. From then on, she's just Bomb. The blonde just froze, not cool with him giving out names before the coming of age thing. For him, names were something special, not something you just hand out like it's nothing. The blonde catches on fast and realizes the names match up with the seasons, so she figures she's supposed to be Gayul Autumn. Yujitai backs her up and says she's Yu Gayul from now on. Yujitai suddenly notices the necklace Gayul's wearing and points right at it. He tells her that once the baby's born, she has to name it Gayul, which means winter. Gayul's mind goes blank for a second. She's really thrown off by what he just said. He lets her know he's figured out the necklace is really a blue dragon egg in disguise. He tells her to keep an eye on it since it's about to hatch any time now. Gayul couldn't help but be impressed by just how much he knew, even though he was just a regular guy. She really wanted to know how he pulled it off, but before she could even finish asking, he shut her down, making it clear he wasn't about to spill his secret. Yujitai's face went serious again. He let everyone know there was just one rule they all had to stick to from now on. He lets them know they can have fun and enjoy whatever Earth has to offer, but there's one rule. They can't leave the area he marked out. Basically, as long as he can see them, they're good. Yorum mutters under his breath, pretty much thinking this guy runs things like some kind of dictator. All three girls sat on the couch, not saying a word. The silence was getting weird, so Yorum broke it and straight up asked if something was up. The girls just kind of decide that hanging out close by is cool with everyone. Bomb's all in on the idea of heading out to grab their ID cards and pick up some essentials, since this is where they'll be staying from now on. Gayul lights up at the thought, already looking hyped. Yorium, on the other hand, just rolls her eyes and throws some sarcasm about money, like stealing from people is some kind of fun challenge. Yu Jitai hands Bomb a fancy black credit card, basically telling everyone the bill's covered and they should just go have a good time. Bomb nods at Yu Jitai, appreciating the help, then wants to know how much they're actually allowed to spend. Yu Jitai stays cool and just says he can handle whatever they can ask as much as they want, and he's ready for it. The girls hit the store and just started grabbing everything they liked, tossing clothes and random stuff into the cart until it was packed. UGT's smartwatch blew up with non-stop notifications. The numbers just kept climbing, tens of millions popping up, until the thing couldn't even keep up anymore. Everyone heads back home, arms full of boxes and bags. Yo-Room's showing off his fresh sword, clearly pumped about it, while Gawul looks pretty pleased with her new clothes. Bomb hands the card back to Yujitai, looking a little uneasy. He's thinking she might have dropped way too much cash. She tells him she wanted to grab some clothes for him too, but her card maxed out. He just shrugs it off, letting her know it's all good. Ga'ul suddenly calls him, telling him to check her out. Ga'ul steps out in her latest outfits, flexing all the cool stuff she just picked up. She's clearly proud of her new look and wants everyone to see how stacked her closet is now. Gale grabs a shirt that looks just like his and shows it off, grinning. She lets him know she picked up the same design. He thinks it looks good on her, and Gale lights up, genuinely thankful. Yo-Room checked out the sword she picked up earlier, kind of lost in her own world. Meanwhile, Yujite watched her, noticing how they both acted totally different. Yo-Ray-Am steps up, showing off her new sword like she just scored something cool. She thinks it's way better than her old broken weapon and turns to see if Yujitai's got any thoughts on it. He wonders if she's into it since she went all out and grabbed a legit blade. She just kind of shrugs it off, saying it's not garbage, nothing special. He and Bomb just sit there watching her, not really sure what to say. Gale came running over to Yorium, arms full of shopping bags, clearly hyped about her latest finds. She was buzzing, showing off the clothes and letting Yorium know she grabbed some for her too, hoping she'd give them a shot. But Yorium shut it down fast, clearly annoyed, making it clear she didn't want any help and didn't see Gale as her big sister at all. Bomb points out to Yujite that Yorium struggles to show how she feels, but deep down, she's definitely thankful. Yujite just smiles, looking kind of relieved that things are chill between them. Yujite spots Bomb coming back with nothing while everyone else has something, so he wants to know what happened. Bomb nods toward the kitchen table. Sitting there is a little pot of rosemary she set down earlier. Bomb tries to tell Yugite how growing plants just hits different and makes people feel good. Yugite isn't really sure what he's getting at, so he wonders what she's talking about. She stands there with a chill smile, holding the pot like it's something special. For her, growing plants isn't just about the flowers, it's about making memories that stick around. Out of nowhere, she remembers there was something she wanted to ask. She wonders if it's even possible to really have fun on Earth with all the limits he set. For them, entertainment isn't just about food or games. It goes way beyond that. Yujitai nods, knowing there's actually a way forward. He shows up with an enrollment form in his hand, looking serious, and wants to know if they're down to go to school. Yo-Room and Gaiul just froze when the proposal came out of nowhere. After their admission interviews, the three girls got back home, totally wiped out. Gale suddenly gets anxious and lets Yorheim know what's been freaking him out. She starts stressing out, thinking she might be the only one to mess up while everyone else crushes it. Yo-Reum, getting tired of her negative vibes, just wants someone to shut her up with some bread. Gaiul looks at Yujitai, eyes watery, clearly thinking she messed up bad and calling herself a pig. Yujitai just keeps it real and lets her know that everyone gave it their all in the interview. Gale suddenly loses it, freaking out because she thinks she messed everything up. Yujitai picks her up and tries to calm her down, telling her she's not going to fail. While he's doing that, Bomb shows up and asks where he disappeared to. Yujitai came back, saying he had to grab something, and then pulled out a box. The smell from it was legit mouth-watering. Gale pops open the box and finds fried chicken inside. Her eyes light up, and she's super into it, trying to figure out if it's some kind of bread or maybe even macarons. Yujitai lets her know he's got something lined up that she'll like even better than what she just saw. Yujitai remembers this old TV show where Gaul, back when she was known as World Star Bai, showed up. They asked her what food she liked most, and that moment just stuck with him. The host lets everyone know that the show's all about top chefs pulling up and making the guests' favorite meals right in front of them, live. The host started laughing and brought up what her favorite food was. People online had been saying she pretty much survived just on morning dew, so everyone was curious if that was actually true. Gale just laughs it off, shutting down the rumor and making it clear she's human like everyone else. Right after, she gets hyped thinking about her favorite food. Fresh fried chicken and cold soda just showed up on the table. The girls are locked in on the food, clearly starving, while Yorayam messes with Gaiul. She remembers Gaiul saying this was her favorite, but now Gaiul looks like it's all new to her. Gaiul gets hyped and says she's making this her go-to food from now on. Yorum just shrugs, thinking it's just fried chicken, nothing special. Yujitai dips out, leaving them to vibe with the smell filling the room. Bomb steps in and tries to get him to eat with the group, but he just shakes his head and tells them to go on without him. Bomb's cheeks turn red and he kinda pouts, making it clear he really wants him to come hang out with them. Yujite was chilling out on the balcony when his phone buzzed. It was the Lair office calling, checking if he was really the Guardian. They brought up some issue about that interview he just had. Yujite lets the caller know it's him, and the person on the other end starts to talk about something that just happened out of nowhere. Yujite's eyebrows shoot up. He's honestly caught off guard. He starts wondering what's actually going on since Baum hasn't messaged or hinted at any of this. The person on the phone finally drops the news. Hugh Baum, the student, just crushed his candidate interview with a perfect score. The caller mentions that all the interviewers were really impressed with her. They basically said she should be the student rep to do the oath at the entrance ceremony this year. He just says they offered it straight to her because they were hyped about it. While that's going on, Baum and Gayul are chilling and smashing some chicken together, looking pretty happy. But here's the thing, Baum actually turned the offer down. The caller wants Yujitai to talk her into it, saying it's a big chance, but Yujitai shuts it down right away. He's got zero interest in pushing her and just lets her choose for herself. Yujitai hung up, and right then Yorim showed up behind him, brushing her teeth and looking pretty curious about who he'd just been talking to on the phone. He looks at her, not messing around, and says the call was about the green. Then he wants her to just use his name, Baum, instead of anything else. Yoreya hears the name and just clowns on it, acting like it's super lame, almost like they're little kids pretending to be a family or something. She doesn't let it go and straight up presses him, wanting to know what he's actually trying to do with all of this. Stops for a second, then just straight up asks him why he sent them to Lair. Yujitai just tells them to do whatever they want. She stares him down, totally locked in, basically making it clear she's here to throw hands. She wonders if the school has any tough guys, and he tells her that all the top kids from around the globe show up there. She rolls her eyes, thinking they're just a bunch of annoying brats, but he points out that, in this world, she's basically just a kid herself. Yoram slams her hand down on the balcony rail, staring him down like she's ready to throw hands for real. Yoram knows he's got serious power, but he can't help wondering just how far it really goes. She's basically saying he has to actually show what he's got if he wants any chance of keeping her in check. Yujit just stares at her, not showing any emotion, basically shutting her down and telling her to just go eat chicken. That move totally sets her off, and she thinks he's the most boring guy ever. She just throws up her middle finger at him, swearing and making it super clear she's pissed off. Gayul showed up behind her, holding out some chicken like he was trying to help her chill out. But Yoram totally lost it, yelling right in his face and not even touching the food. Out of nowhere, Yoram takes a bite, and you can just see her whole face light up. She wasn't ready for how good it tasted. Lair shows up as this huge school sitting on a floating island called Hatelands, just cruising around the planet. This school is where kids with all kinds of special powers and gifts go. Most of the kids at Lair come from rich families, big-name clans, or are basically part of the elite crowd. People all over start calling them out, saying they're just building a world where only the rich and powerful get to play. Gil and Baum strolled around the school campus. Gil really liked the vibe of the place and pointed out how it's not easy for just anyone to get in. Gal starts thinking Yujitai might actually be loaded, since he always drops cash like it's nothing. Baum's not surprised either, just looking at Yujitai, he could totally see it. Gail's energy was through the roof. She started bouncing around, pumped about how well everyone did, and honestly, she couldn't stop checking out how clean the school uniform looked. Gail looks around and realizes Yoram and Yujite aren't there. He starts thinking about where they could have gone. Baum lets everyone know that Yoram headed over to the Blue Dragon dorms for her practical interview, and Yujitai tagged along to look out for her. At Lair, the cadet superhumans aren't really all that grown up mentally, so their parents or people from their schools stick around to keep an eye on them and make sure they don't mess up. Gale thinks it's smart not to leave Yoram by himself, since things could get risky. Baum also remembers that the event Yoram signed up for is all about students going head-to-head in fights and duels. Gale lights up and really wants to go see it, tossing out the idea right away. But Baum remembers she already tried and got turned down, so that kind of kills the hype. Gayul just stared, totally thrown off and not happy at all, kind of sulking like a kid, trying to figure out why it was off limits. Baum keeps his cool and lets them know that if everyone tags along, things are going to get wild. While he's talking, the other students are low-key checking them out, trying to figure out who they are and what families they're from, since their looks are kinda unreal. At Blue Dragon Academy's Chungchun Hall, things are getting heated in the ring as a fight breaks out. The crowd is hyped, cheering as the competitors go at it with wooden swords. Yujit just sits there, face unreadable, not showing any excitement. Off to the side, a coach or maybe a guardian is yelling at the fighters, reminding them to stick to what they've practiced. A guy with long hair steps in, trying to keep things chill. He gives a kinda awkward smile, hoping the guardians will relax and think about how the candidate feels. No need to make things more stressful than they already are. The guy walks straight up to Yugitai. One of the people there finally realizes who he is and pretty much rushes to say sorry for not introducing himself sooner. Wei Yan steps up, carrying himself with confidence as the head professor of Blue Dragon Academy. He lets everyone know he's ready to team up with the Guardians and is actually looking forward to it. The other Guardians really respect how he acts and how chill he is, but UGT just keeps quiet. People in the crowd start talking quietly, noticing that he's not only rich and has a ton of influence, but he's also known for what he did in the war. The announcer's voice blasted through the speakers, calling out number 14 number 7. Tai instantly dialed in, his eyes narrowing as he zoned in on what was about to go down. Room steps into the ring with her wooden sword, looking totally unbothered. She's kind of just talking to herself, hoping this fight isn't going to be a snooze. She shoots a look at the blonde across from her, promising herself that if this fight turns out boring, she's actually dipping out for real this time. Everyone's locked in, trying to guess if Sofia Volkova's got this, or if the red-haired girl will take the win. Everyone in the crowd has their own take. One guy's already crushing on the red-haired girl, but his buddy quickly calls him out, reminding him they're supposed to be picking who's actually going to win, not just talking about who looks good. Sofia's friend was totally sure she'd come out on top, dropping the fact that Sofia had already been with the RIL forces before she even started school. The story cuts to a wild backstory about the RIL forces. These Russian Special Airborne Hunter Squads were basically the heavy hitters in the Great War. They pulled off stuff that made everyone pay attention. Everyone knows these squads put their guys through some insane training stuff that pretty much feels like torture. Up in the stands, her guardian, who's built like a tank, starts yelling, hyping her up, and making sure she knows everyone's expecting a lot from her. The guy keeps yelling like he's hyped up, while Sofia just stands there in the ring, super embarrassed by how he's acting. Reem spots what's going on and can't help but point out, in his own sarcastic way, that her dad looks like he's totally freaking out. Yorong kept messing with her opponent, basically daring her to quit and go cry to her dad. He tossed out a sarcastic daddy's girl jab, making it clear he was just trying to get under her skin. Sofia's face goes from chill to dead serious in a split second. She gives her opponent a look that basically tells her to stay quiet, no messing around. Sofia's eyes snapped wide, straight up furious, and it was clear she wasn't playing around. She let Rayum know without a doubt that if kept running her mouth, she wasn't getting out of there in one piece. Rayum flashes this wild grin, totally daring her to take a shot and see what happens. The crowd catches that wild glare in the competitor's eyes. Nobody's surprised, it's what you'd expect from someone repping the RIL. Still, even they have to admit, the red-haired girl looks like she's built for this. Yujit sat up in the stands, watching the two girls in the ring get ready. Both of them squared up, looking focused and ready for whatever was coming next. You could tell they were dialed in, waiting for the action to start. The bell goes off, and Sofia just bolts straight at Room, moving way faster than anyone expected. The girls go at it hard, not holding back. Rayam stays on point, blocking the hit like she's done it 100 times. She throws a quick smirk, clearly sizing up her rival's speed. Not bad, but she's not impressed. Rim doesn't waste a second. She swings her stick hard, going for a clean counter. She's all in, hyped up, making sure her opponent really feels that hit. Sofia charges in out of nowhere, throwing a quick strike. Uriam barely manages to block it, struggling to keep up. Sofia's kick catches Yorhim's shirt and rips it. Yorhim just loses it when she sees her fresh outfit get wrecked. She calls out her opponent, annoyed because this outfit is pretty new and she's not about to let it get trashed already. Sofia goes after her hard, staying right up close and throwing wild hits. She doesn't give her a break, so she has to fall back fast. The girls are going all out, trading blows and blocking each other so fast it's wild, every hit echoing around the hall. Sofia goes for a sneaky low kick, but Room isn't having it. She jumps up fast, using the ring's iron fence to launch herself even higher. Room drops in from up top, swinging her sword straight for her opponent's head, ready to land a heavy hit. Sofia throws her hands up to shield herself as the hit comes down hard from above. The hit lands so hard that her arms start shaking, and she can't help but grit her teeth against the pain pressing down on her. Reem spots her chance and just goes for it, pushing Sofia back so hard that Sofia's only option is to play defense and start moving away. But Reem's speed is wild 1 second. Sofia thinks she's safe, and the next, Reem's already behind her. Sofia spun around fast, eyes wide. Rayum started messing with her, roasting her hair and calling out her striped bangs. She flashed a bold grin, pretty much calling her out for thinking she was tough just because the fight started off chill. At the same time, she was already winding up for a punch that looked like it could end things real quick. Rayam just goes off on Sofia, throwing heavy punches that hit hard and straight up drop her. She can't keep up, and her guard totally falls apart. Sofia's stuck on the ground, coughing up blood, totally wiped out, while Yorhim just stands over her. Room holds her sword right up to Sofia's face, and the ref calls it. Candidate 24 takes the win. Room couldn't help but let out a laugh, kind of roasting Sofia for talking big about being strong, only to end up folding when things got real. Sophia just froze, eyes wide, totally stunned by what just went down. She couldn't even react or clap back, still trying to wrap her head around it. People in the crowd start whispering, clearly unimpressed with the group the school called elite. Meanwhile, Sophia's guardian rushes over to the ring, calling out her name, looking stressed. People at school started talking, saying Sophia got totally wrecked, even though at first it looked like both sides were on the same level. Everyone could see that the red-haired girl didn't even get touched, just messing around with her opponent like it was nothing. People started talking about how Yoram was on another level, saying Sophia didn't even put up a fight and kind of let everyone down. People start throwing out even worse insults, accusing Sophia of only getting in because she looks good, not because she can actually fight. While all this is going on, a nurse is over by her side, using some kind of glowing green magic to try and help her out. Sophia lowers her head, letting her hair fall over her eyes while everyone watching thinks she's just someone who looks strong but actually falls apart fast. The nurse lets the guardian know she already took care of the basics, but the girl's arms are actually broken and it's going to take a while before she's back to normal. The guardian tightened his fist, staying focused, while Sophia kept shaking a bit but let him know she was still good to go and ready to keep fighting. Her guardian gives her this tired, almost sad smile, trying to make her feel better. He lets her know she really gave it everything she had, but right now, she just isn't strong enough to beat that girl. He lets her know he's not upset at all, thinking that going up against a tough opponent this early could actually turn out to be a good thing. He keeps talking, his grin steady, explaining how taking an L now just levels people up for whatever's next. While he's getting ready to hand in his report, thinking everything's wrapped up, the nurse, clearly uneasy, tries to get him to notice what's happening behind him. Out of nowhere, Sophia stands up behind them, gripping a knife tight in her hand. Her eyes look wild and she starts saying stuff under her breath. She's not backing down, she just stepped back for a second, but there's no way she's letting herself lose. Sophia lets her guardian know she's alright. Yoram starts heading out of the ring, thinking it's all done, but Sophia calls her out with some sarcasm, making it clear the fight isn't finished yet. Sophia charges straight at Yoram, going all out with a real knife she grabbed from her guardian, ready to stab. Yujite just sits there in the stands, eyes locked on what's happening. He doesn't say a word or even flinch, just watching everything with this serious look. Yelrayum's eyes lit up with pure anger as she stared down her opponent, her thoughts running wild with every curse she could think of. Sophia just loses it and charges in, yelling louder than anyone's ever heard. She's totally locked in, swinging hard, making it clear she's not holding back. She's out for blood, and everyone around can tell. Everyone in the crowd, even the professors, starts freaking out when the match gets wild and out of control. But Yujitai just sits there totally chill, like nothing's happening. Sophia shoves Yoram out of the ring and both of them hit the ground hard. Yoram yanked the knife out of her side, catching on quick that her opponent was all in, ready to go until someone dropped. She figured if that's how it was going to be, she'd match that energy. Sophia's eyes go wild as she locks on and charges, swinging hard while yelling for her to just disappear. Yoram tries to hold her ground, but Sophia moves fast and comes in hot, making it tough for Yoram to keep up at first. Still, right when things look rough, she slips out of the way just in time. Yoram yanked Sophia's hair hard, and Sophia instantly cried out from the pain. Yoram looked straight at her opponent, voice dropping into something cold. This crazy red aura started swirling around her, making everything feel way more intense, like she was totally locked in and ready to end it. Rayum throws a straight-up brutal punch, landing it right on Sophia's face. She doesn't let up, just keeps throwing punches over and over while everyone around just freezes. Blood's flying, students are staring, but nobody steps in. Everyone's just standing there, not sure what to do. Yoram throws one last heavy hit, dropping Sophia flat to the floor. She's out cold, blood running down her face. Yoram was out of breath, but he wasn't giving up. He grabbed the knife Sophia had dropped, showing he was still in it. She walks up to where Sophia's lying, eyes lit up with straight-up revenge. She's dead set on making Sophia pay her back double, planning to hit her with the exact same move. Out of nowhere, Sophia's huge guardian jumped in, grabbed Yoram's wrist before she could stab, and yelled at her to chill since things had already gone way too far. Wei Yan jumps in right away, raising his voice so everyone hears him. He tells the mages to open up a cross space and pause the interview on the spot. Out of nowhere, a bright blue light shoots up from the ground. The whole vibe changes as the spell, Creation Crossface, kicks in and splits everyone up inside the ring. Yoram totally loses it, yelling about how it's not fair. She's the only one getting called out when Sophia stabbed her first. The guy just tells her straight up that she went after Sophia to get back at her like she really tried to take her down. Rahim wasn't having it. He pushed back hard and made it clear he could have handled things with just his strength. He wasn't about to just stand there and get smacked around. Wei Yan steps in to chill everyone out. He tells the guy to look after his daughter before jumping into any more talking. Wei Yan glanced over at Yoram, staying chill as ever. He let her know their assistant already dipped to grab her guardian and told her she should just hang tight and get checked out while she waited. Yo-Riem loses her cool and can't just let it slide since she's still mad. Wei-Yan quietly lets her know he saw it all and totally gets where she's coming from, but he knows he has to step in before things spiral. Yo-Ram glances over at him, caught off guard and kind of confused. Wei-Yan moves in, making it obvious he's not messing around. He lets her know straight up that if things get any crazier, he can't do anything for her, and her whole family could get dragged into the mess too. Wei-Yan casually drops the Yu family name, hinting he's onto the fact that Yo-Room isn't the only Yu around. He lets Yo-Ram know she needs to chill out, or her friends could end up in trouble because of what she's doing. Wei-Yan looks at Yo-Room, his voice coming off kinda cold. He makes it clear she's not gonna be chill in this spot. He throws a quick, sneaky grin her way, letting her know she's not going anywhere until her guardian shows up. Out of nowhere, Yugi-Tai tells him to stop searching, saying her guardian's already here. Then Yugi-Tai just shows up, walking right through the barrier like it's nothing. Yuji showed up and didn't waste any time. He called out Wei-Yan, telling him to quit messing with the hurt kid and just deal with him straight up. Yo-Riem's eyes go wide when he spots Yuji-Tai. He's caught off guard, but also kinda glad he showed up. Over on the side, Wei-Yan just stares, clearly not expecting Yuji-Tai to move that fast. The story moves to this fancy office way up in a skyscraper, where someone's pouring out some top-tier black Chinese tea from Taiwan. Wei-Yan flashes a chill smile and mentions how tea can help everyone relax, trying to take the edge off the room. Wei-Yan watches what's happening and starts to put the pieces together. He notices how Yuji-Tai just moves through the crossface like it's no big deal. That pretty much tells him Yuji-Tai is definitely one of the top awakened out there. He's kinda thrown off since the Yu family isn't ringing any bells for him, so he figures he'll have to check them out later. Yuji-Tai, Wei-Yan, and Mikhailov Sophia's massive guardian sat together at the table. Wei-Yan was clearly on edge, letting out a nervous laugh before trying to break the ice and say sorry to both guardians for what went down. He lets everyone know things aren't as bad as they thought, both girls are okay. Sophia's still getting checked out at the hospital, but Yo-Room already dipped and headed home. Wei-Yan thinks it's better to just drop it and not make a big deal, since the girls will run into each other at the academy anyway. He says he'll take care of whatever's left as long as the guardians are cool with it. Mikhailov just stood there for a second with his eyes shut, not saying anything. Then he owned up, saying it was their fault things kicked off, so he'd take the first step and say sorry. He let them know he was Sophia's guardian. He thinks Sophia acted out because she's still young and hasn't figured things out yet, so her emotions kind of took control this time. Yuji-Tai just stares him down, face totally blank, making it obvious he's not about to let some other guardian say sorry for the girl. Mikhailov shot up from his seat, totally ticked off. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai just kept chilling, sipping his tea like nothing bothered him. He clearly didn't care about any apology that wasn't straight from the source. Mikhailov smacked his own chest, obviously ticked off. He looked at Yuji-Tai, thinking the guy was being stubborn. In his head, he started to wonder if Yuji-Tai was just putting on a front, probably clueless about who Mikhailov actually worked for. Yujit shot him a cold glare, basically letting him know they weren't on the same level. She tossed out a sarcastic comment, questioning if that's really how people say sorry where he's from. Mikhailov totally loses his cool and basically demands if he should drag the hurt girl over and make her apologize just to keep the other guy happy. Yuji-Tai just hits him with this icy attitude, pretty much saying if that's what he's after, go for it. Things get super tense real quick. Wei-Yan steps in, clearly nervous, trying to break it up with his awkward smile, hoping everyone will just chill out. Yuji-Tai lets everyone know he didn't show up because of the girl. He just wants to find out why Mikhailov stayed on the sidelines when that kid grabbed a giant sword and started swinging. Mikhailov starts raising his voice, scrambling to explain himself, saying everything went down way too quick. Yuji-Tai cuts him off, calling out how weak that excuse sounds. He looks right at him and asks if he seriously isn't embarrassed using a kid as his cover for messing up. Mikhailov slams his foot down hard, grabs Yugi-Tai by the collar and lets him know straight up he's only chill for so long before he snaps. He comes at him with this deep creepy voice, basically warning if he's seriously trying to mess with the RIL crew in a place this tiny, and at the same time, there's this huge blue energy just pouring out of him. Mikhailov just kept going, tossing out threats and clowning on the Yu family for talking big when no one even knew who they were. Out of nowhere, Mikhailov spots something that makes him stop in his tracks. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai just points out, super chill, that his greatsword was insanely sharp like, one slip up and things could have gone south real fast. Mikhailov just stares, surprised, when he sees Yugi-Tai holding his personal dagger. He can't figure out when Yugi-Tai even grabbed it. Yugi-Tai explains that the sheath was basically too loose, so it was easy to snag the dagger without Mikhailov noticing, even though Mikhailov thought he was paying full attention. Out of nowhere, Yuji-Tai shows up right behind him. He leans in close and drops a straight-up scary threat in Mikhailov's ear before walking off, basically telling him he better stick to busy streets from now on. Yugi Tae just drops the dagger on the table like he couldn't care less, turning to Mikhailov, who's clearly freaking out. He lets him know it's done and heads out, not even looking back. Mikhailov just stares as the guy walks off, eyes wide and looking like he just saw something wild. Wei Yan, on the other hand, finally breathes out slow, like he's been holding it in forever, seriously relieved to dodge what could have been a total mess. Yuji Tae stepped out of the room and spotted Yoriom just chilling in the hallway, looking like he'd been waiting for him. He checks on her, just making sure she's alright. She keeps walking next to him, acting like it's nothing serious, just a little cut. She even flexes a bit, talking up how tough people from the Red Dragon clan are. Yuji just says it's good and moves on, but then Yoriom's whole vibe shifts. She goes quiet, and you can tell something's up. She pauses and glances at him, kind of uneasy, then quietly checks if he thinks she messed up too. She drops her head, kind of blaming herself for how everything turned out. She rubs her head, kinda embarrassed, letting it out that she's mad and upset. Still, she gets that maybe she should have handled things more maturely, like grown-ups do. Yuji Tae cuts her off, looking all serious. He shuts down what she said and lets her know she actually did a good job. That catches her off guard. Yuji wraps up what he's saying with this icy vibe. He basically tells her that next time, if she's going to do something like that, she should just take care of it somewhere no one's around to see. Yo-Rame's eyes light up and a sly grin spreads across his face. He just knows they're totally locked in, thinking the same thing. She rushes to catch up with him, throwing out a quick reminder about what he said earlier, basically telling him not to mess it up or wish he hadn't said it. He just shrugs it off, totally sure of himself, like he's got it all under control. Yugi Tae switched things up real quick, telling her to get her stuff ready as soon as they got home. She looked at him, kinda thrown off, not sure what he had planned. He lets her know they're moving to the lair dorms at the academy, and Yo-Room can't help but remember how Gayul, that little yellow chick, got all hyped and wouldn't stop chirping when she heard about it. Out of nowhere, someone called out for Guardian Yuji Tae, making them both stop and look back. Wei Yan suddenly showed up behind them, wearing a chill smile like he wanted to talk for a second. Yuji just shut him down, acting like their conversation was done. But Wei Yan didn't back off. He really wanted to get something off his chest, something important that had to do with Yo-Ryum too. Yo-Ryum stuck her finger in her ear, seriously not wanting to hear more nagging. Wei Yan just laughed it off, pretty much letting her know he was actually trying to help her out with a solid offer. Wei Yan suddenly hits Yo-Room with some unexpected news, asking if she wants to step up as the freshman rep at Blue Dragon Academy. He lays it all out for her. She could end up as the academy's main star, locking down a massive scholarship, scoring some rare gear, and getting her name out there with tons of media hype. Yuji Tae wonders if the professor can really just drop a big offer like that on his own, but Wei Yan lets him know it's legit. Wei Yan drops the fact that he's tight with the vice principal, Manam Jun, and right away Yuji Tae's face just goes blank and you can tell he's not happy about it. Wei Yan tells Yuji Tae he should really think it through, since chances like this don't pop up twice. Right then, Yuji Tae finally figures out why Wei Yan is always hanging around Vice Principal Manam Jun. Turns out, they're both actually demons, Majin. Demons, or Majin, get explained here. These are just regular people who decided to go all in with the Abyss, instead of getting that special protection the superhumans have. These demons are all about pure rage, always looking to fight, mess stuff up, and take out humans whenever they get the chance. These demons showed up and things got real bad for everyone. The whole world was in danger, and Yuji Tae ended up losing some of the most important stuff in his life, not just once, but in both his first and second lives. So when Wei Yan showed up in front of him for the first time, Yuji Tae just kept picturing himself taking the guy out over and over in his head. He stuck it out and kept his cool, no matter how many times things got tough. Yuji Tae just stared at Wei Yan, eyes kind of unreadable, already thinking that this guy still had a lot to deal with before it was all over for him. Out loud, he just said he got the point. Yuji Tae tells Wei Yan that what really matters is how the person involved feels about it. He knows he's just there to look out for them, but at the end of the day, their say comes first. Wei Yan just laughs it off, totally sure of himself, making it clear that, at the end of the day, it's all up to what the student decides. He turns to Yo-Ryum and lets her know big changes are about to hit Blue Dragon Academy. He really wants her to step up and lead everyone as the student rep for the year-end event. You can tell he's counting on her to take charge when it matters most. Wei Yan grabs Yo-Rame's hand, his eyes lit up like he's hoping for something big. He's basically asking her to team up with him and figure out what's next for both of them. Yo-Rame just shuts him down, straight up. She keeps a blank face and lets him know she's not interested, no hesitation at all. Wei Yan just stands there, totally caught off guard, thinking maybe he misheard her. But she shuts that down fast, making it clear he got it right. Yo-Room looks over at Yuji Tae and brings up heading home to get their stuff together. Wei Yan, clearly annoyed but trying to keep it cool, wants to know why she even bothered showing up for the interview if she was just gonna back out. Yo-Room barely reacts and just says she was chilling in her room. She was bored, so she pulled up looking for some action just to keep things interesting. Wei Yan's jaw tightened and the veins on his face stood out as he tried hard to keep his cool after that answer that really got under his skin. Wei Yan tells Yo Ryum to check out what's below the glass window. Down below, a ton of journalists and reporters had already pulled up, all packed together. Wei Yan leans in, kind of smug, and points out that all these reporters showed up from different countries just to get his take on what went down with the stabbing today. He's clearly enjoying the attention, almost like he's running the whole show. He lets her know straight up that everything, her safety, her whole future in Lair, hangs on whatever he's about to say. He checks if she's really getting how serious this is. Yo Ryum just turns her back on him, totally unfazed by whatever he's saying. She's not about to do what he wants, says she's out, and just walks away like it's nothing. Wei Yan watches her leave, his eyes cold and full of hate. Deep down, he hopes she ends up regretting what she just did. Yo Ryum steps out of the building, and almost right away, someone in the crowd catches sight of him and realizes who he is. Reporters swarmed her fast, closing in from all sides and firing off questions about what went down with Sofia Volkova just 2 hours earlier. Bright camera flashes hit her from every direction, messing with her eyes, while a reporter fires off a question, wanting her to say something about what happened. Another reporter pulled out a recorder and mentioned how the video was blowing up everywhere in Korea. He asked if she started all this drama just to get people talking and maybe bring her family's name back into the spotlight. People keep pressing her with questions about why she even bothered with Blue Dragon Academy and what she's planning when she's there. Meanwhile, Yo Ryum just looks super annoyed, like he's totally over it. Yujitai moves in front of her, blocking the journalists and telling them to chill since the kid's already hurt. But before he can say much, Yo Ryum cuts him off, saying she'll handle it because clearly that's what everyone's waiting for. Ryum just grabs the recorder straight out of the reporter's hand, not even hesitating. He basically throws their question right back at them, asking what she plans to do there. Yo Ryum flashes this huge, kinda creepy grin at the cameras and lets everyone know what she wants. The vibe totally changes. Everything chills out, and cherry blossoms start drifting down in front of this super fancy building, their private dorm at Lair. Gael throws her hands up, totally hyped and smiling way too hard. The girls walk into this huge living room, and Gael can't help but be impressed by how big it is. Yo Ryum just looks around, not really believing they're actually going to live somewhere this fancy. Gael bolts for the stairs, already claiming the top room for herself. Yo Ryum's not having it. She dashes after her, making it clear she's not letting anyone else snag the biggest spot. Gael pushes open the door, and right away, her eyes light up with pure admiration. She steps into a big bedroom where sunlight pours through a giant window. There's a massive bed and a sleek TV setup, making the whole place look chill and inviting. Gael checked out her new room with a smile, actually thinking it was pretty decent. She already had ideas on how she could set it up and make it work for her. Ryum just barged in, cigarette hanging from her mouth, and scoped out the balcony. She decided right then that this spot was perfect for smoking, so she basically claimed the whole room as hers. Gaul couldn't believe it. She was pretty annoyed, saying it wasn't cool since she'd already picked that room. She pointed out that Yo Ryum had called dibs on the biggest room, but the one next to it actually turned out to be even bigger. Rome locked eyes on her, giving her a look so intense that Gail instantly backed down. Not wanting any trouble, Gail just nodded and agreed to take the big room next door. Later on, Baum showed up and started gently spraying water over the big blue egg, making sure not to mess anything up. He gently rubbed the egg, greeting it like it was his own little buddy. Yujit watches her start spraying water, totally not expecting it. He sees her smile, and she just explains that she's doing it for the baby. Apparently blue dragons are really into water, so this is like their version of baby prep. Yujit just sits back and watches while Baum talks about how she takes care of the egg. When a dragon egg is about to hatch, the spell that turned it into a necklace basically wears off on its own, and the egg goes back to its real size. Baum looks over at Yujitai, noticing how everyone in the dorm can't stop talking about Yo Ryum lately. The whole place feels kinda hyped up whenever her name comes up. Yujitai pulls up a video on his phone, showing the interview where Yo Ryum went off on the reporters. Under the video, the comments are all over the place. Some people are hyping her up for being gutsy and good-looking, while others are just clowning her. Out of nowhere, Yo Ram drops a comment with the word sex front and center. Baum reacts fast, covering the egg's ears right away just to be sure it didn't catch that. The girls are hanging out in the living room. Yorahome is stretched out on the sofa, barely looking up, kind of annoyed about why everyone's making a big deal over that word, since honestly everyone comes from it anyway. Meanwhile, Gaul just straight up asks what sex even is. Yori glances over at Gaul, rocking a sneaky grin, like he's about to spill some secret. He checks if she's curious about what it all really means. Yo-Room just flashes this wild grin, looking like she's about to mess with someone, and decides it's time for the little chick to get a lesson about sex. Gail steps back, clearly on edge. She really doesn't want to hear what's coming next. In her mind, her mom always told her it's better not to know too much about certain things. Yo-Room steps in close, eyes looking straight up wild, making sure she can't slip away. He leans in, letting her know she doesn't get to say no. Yo-Room placed her hands on Gale's head, messing with her and trying to freak her out. Gale totally lost it, screaming and scrambling to get away. Gale finally gives in, breaking down and saying she'll do whatever it takes just to get Yo-Room to chill. Gale rushed over to Yujitai, tears running down her face, hoping he could get her out of this super embarrassing moment. The next morning rolls around, and Yo-Room is still out cold in her room, not even close to waking up. Gale rushes into the room, yelling loud enough to jolt her awake. He's not messing around, there's an emergency, and he needs her up right now. Yo-Rum drags herself out of bed, clearly annoyed, mumbling under her breath about how early it is. She's still tired from staying up all night, and it's obvious she's not having it right now. Gaol glanced over at her, kind of stressed, thinking she probably stayed up late watching something sketchy again, but Yo-Room just hit him with this sly grin, basically hinting she'd been up all night watching adult videos. That caught Gaol way off guard. He definitely wasn't expecting that. Gaol grabs Yoriam and pulls her along, moving fast down the stairs. She's serious, not messing around, and Yoriam's not having it. She makes it clear that if this isn't something big, someone's in trouble. Everyone heads downstairs while Yoram just sits there bored, trying to figure out why everyone decided to show up so early in the morning. She spots Bomb chilling by the egg, clearly on edge and hyped up, letting everyone know Ghoul's about to hatch. All eyes went straight to the egg. It started to crack open, glowing so bright it was hard to miss. Gale couldn't hold back and just lost it, pumped up because something new was about to show up. Right then, Yujite's mood completely shifts. His mind flashes back to the last time he saw someone born, and honestly, it was nothing like this. That memory still sticks with him. It wasn't pretty at all. He remembers this one rough moment when everything around him was falling apart. There was a woman grabbing his hand, tears streaming down her face, begging him to help her kid. Yujite can't forget that moment when his friend told her it was already too late. Their baby barely had a chance, and he passed away right after being born. That memory just sticks with him. Yugite thinks back to some rough times, remembering how things used to be a total mess. The environment was trashed, and the hospital he knew got wiped out by the war. With everything in ruins, there was no real way to help anyone. Back then, his face said it all. He just looked drained, wanting a real hospital close by. That whole memory just sucked. Back in the present, Yujitai stands there with the three girls, staring at the egg, his mind spinning, kind of confused about why that sad memory just popped up out of nowhere right now. Yorium's eyes catch something just as the eggshell cracks open, and this tiny blue claw pops out. A tiny head pokes out from the egg, showing off a newborn blue dragon. Its eyes are huge and look super innocent, like it's seeing the world for the first time. Bomb gives the newborn a genuine smile, just happy to be there. Meanwhile, Gale can't take his eyes off the moment. He's straight up in awe, soaking it all in. The little dragon rubbed her eye in a sleepy way, and then her name popped up on the screen. Ghoul, Winter. Bam grabs a towel and starts cleaning her face and arms, just handling it herself. Yujite looks over and wonders where she picked that up from. Bam lets him know her mom used to do it for her, but back then, her mom would actually just lick her clean. Bomb holds out the little one, kind of expecting Yujite to take her, but Yujite just shakes his head and stays back, not really into it. Gaol sees the chance and instantly steps up, all hyped to hold her instead. Bomb gently passes the tiny dragon to her, letting her know the dragon's skin is still super soft, so she should take it easy. Gaul nods, totally hyped to help out. Gail pulls herself into a soft hug, shutting her eyes. It's one of those moments where everything just feels right, like all the stress melts away for a second. Out of nowhere, Gail's eyes catch a sneaky shine. She looks over at Yoram, who's just chilling on the couch, and wonders if Yoram wants in on the hug too. Right before Yoriam can say anything, Gale shoves the dragon right up in her face. Yoriam kinda loses it and starts yelling, totally freaked out, while Bomb just tells Gale to chill out. Joel lets out a little yawn while Yoram, kind of stuck holding her, just stares and doesn't say a word. Gaul, looking pretty proud of herself, checks if Yoram finally gets why she wanted a hug. Yoram stays cool and just owns it, saying, yeah, she really is cute. Yoram spun around to face Yujite, pointing out that everyone else had hugged her except him. Gaul backed her up, tossing in that Ghoul would probably be bummed if he didn't join in too. UGT just stays quiet, not saying anything. Yorium catches that and smirks, clearly trying to mess with him. She looks at him like he's just trying to act all high and mighty by himself, thinking he's better than everyone else. Yorium just straight up says she's about to toss Ghoul, making it clear that he better be ready to catch her. Meanwhile, Ghoul totally freaks out, yelling and trying to figure out if Yorium is actually serious about doing it. Yorium flashes a wicked grin, letting everyone know she's only been here for one reason since she walked into this place. Yorium wanted to see that stone-cold face finally slip, so she just chucked the little dragon up into the air. Gahul totally freaked out, yelling as he went flying. Yujit steps in and grabs Gyul like it's no big deal, totally unfazed. Yorium's not impressed at all. He wanted something wild to happen and just ends up mumbling about how boring it was. Gyul looks over at her sister, thinking there's definitely something off about how she handles stuff. Bomb walks up to Yujite grinning and kinda hints that he should just go ahead and pet her since he's got her in his arms already. Yujite slowly reaches out and taps Ghoul's head, a little unsure if he's nailing it, but the dragon looks pretty happy with how it's going. Gale pulls out her phone and snaps a few pics, totally into how cool everything looks. She knows moments like this are worth saving. Bomb decides to snap a group photo to mark Jewel's birth. He shows up holding this bright red rose, and Gale definitely didn't see that coming. Bomb throws a quick wink, acting like the stuff's just for pics. Yoryum and Jeol just stare at her, totally caught off guard. Bomb slips a red rose behind Yujite's ear, then puts a tiny blue flower on Gale's head. Ghoul just stands there, not moving at all, totally frozen. Yoryu can't help but crack up, roasting how he looks. Bomb, on the other hand, says he's actually pulling it off. Meanwhile, UGT just wants them to chill and snap the photo already. Ryum isn't really into the whole photography thing and thinks it's kinda embarrassing, but Ghoul doesn't let that slide. He just grabs her and gets her in on it anyway, totally hyped. Yujitai snapped the pic and then looked at Bomb, wondering if it was actually safe to head outside since Ghoul was still chilling as a dragon. Going out with a dragon around definitely wasn't going to be easy. Bomb lets Yujitai know that adult dragons her, Yorium, and Gayul picked up polymorph magic so they could switch back to looking human when they lived in their old world. Bomb picked up little Gajul, kinda bummed that the dragon still hadn't figured anything out yet. He gave a soft smile though, like he already knew dragons level up super fast anyway. She really wants to make sure the kid has a good time and stacks up some awesome memories before she grows up and things get tougher. Yujitai is totally on board and says he's down to help out whenever. But then Bomb throws a little shade, pointing out how Yujitai acted like he wasn't that good at magic earlier. UGT goes quiet for a second, and Bomb lets him know she's got one thing she wants. She looks at him, hoping he'll stick around while she does the magic transfer for the kid. UGT just gives a quick nod, keeping his distance and not showing much. Bomb notices and starts messing with him, pointing out how cold he looks standing all the way over there. She signals for him to step up and stop acting all nervous, but he just stands his ground, not really seeing any point in getting that close. Bomb stands her ground and explains why she wants him nearby. She points out that the transfer could wear her out big time, and if that happens, Ghoul might just fall. That's why he needs to stick close, just in case she can't hold on. She hugs the kid tight, her voice getting all serious as she talks about how awful she'd feel if Yule's head ever smacked the table by accident. Meanwhile, Yujitai just stares at her, totally blank, not giving anything away. Yugite gives in and plops down beside her, making it clear he's got no other option. The second Bomb sits down, he suddenly gets all shy, cheeks going red. He kind of mumbles that things aren't easy right now. Yuji glances over, caught off guard, so she quickly tries to explain herself, saying she was just talking about how the sofa feels a bit stiff. He takes it seriously, pointing out that the sofa is supposed to be top-tier quality, so it shouldn't feel that way. Bomb starts transferring magic, and this green glow wraps around her and the little dragon. A few days later, the Bomb was just sprawled out on the couch, looking totally wiped. Steam drifted off her as she barely managed to let everyone know it was finally done. Yugite stands in front of her, giving props for her hard work, while she just quietly nods back, not really bringing much energy. Bomb gets up real slow, making her way to her room to chill for a bit. Before she goes, she lets Yujitai know it's time to feed Ghoul and make sure to help her burp. Bomb tells him to wake her up if something wild goes down, but out of nowhere, she stumbles because she's just too tired. Yujitai moves fast and grabs her right before she hits the ground, holding her up since she's clearly worn out. He checks her out for a second, stays chill, and lets her know he's about to help her get to her room. Bomb's face lights up red when he gets close, and she gets all flustered, not really sure what to do with herself. Yujit scoops her up, basically carrying her like she's royalty. She looks away, kind of embarrassed, and admits it's a little awkward getting carried like that. He just laughs, noticing she's still got enough energy to mess around. She let out a quiet laugh and teased him about her weight, but he just shrugged and said she was light. Bomb watched and honestly thought it was pretty cool how he could just say something nice like that without even trying. He sets her down gently on the bed, pulls the blanket over her, and watches as she crashes out almost instantly. Once he sees she's out cold, he slips out of the room without making a sound. The second he steps out and shuts the door, Yuji notices some weird blue energy buzzing out from the living room. He heads to the living room and sees the whole place lit up with this wild blue glow. As the light slowly faded out, a little girl with long blue hair showed up on the couch. She stared at her hands, totally amazed, while Yuji just watched her quietly from the side. Yuji finally speaks up after being quiet for a while, and even though he's trying to act chill, everyone can tell he's a bit on edge as he greets her. At the Lair District Police Station, everyone was talking about Yujitai. His co-workers couldn't help but hype up what he'd done lately. In just a few days, he'd managed to track down and catch criminals the supernatural crime investigation team had been chasing for months. People were honestly impressed at how quickly he got it done, and his name was starting to trend around the station. Yujitai's co-worker came over, hyped up and all smiles, ready to treat him to some next-level food to celebrate what he pulled off. Everyone at the station was pretty much calling him their MVP. Another co-worker jumps in laughing and lets everyone know the plan was to put it all on the company card from the start. The first guy tries to play it off, cracking a joke that he actually meant he'd cover the next round instead. Yuji-Tai turns down his co-worker's offer to grab food, saying he's got stuff to finish up. The co-worker, flexing his gold card and hoping to show off, gets a little annoyed when Yuji bails. His co-workers trail after him outside, all curious about why he's been clocking out right on time these days. The more they see it, the more convinced they get that he's hiding a secret girlfriend. He shuts it down, face totally blank and icy, not giving anything away. He heads out, and his coworker calls after him, saying he trusts him and swears there's no girlfriend. The guy wants the truth. If he just doesn't vibe with them, he should just say it instead of coming up with random excuses. Yuji-Tai heads home after wrapping up his shift. Out of nowhere, he shifts and suddenly looks just like a random girl walking past him. Turns out, this thing covering for Yuji-Tai is actually the Archduke of the Shadow. The Demon Duke used to own this skill, and he relied on it to keep control over lands that were far away from him. After Yuji-Tai took down the Duke, the creature switched sides and started following him, treating Yuji-Tai like its new boss. The shadow copy pulls up at the park and just freezes when it spots Yuji-Tai. The thing steps up to him, showing serious respect and even calling him master, making it clear it only showed up because he called for it. The shadow copy spots something weird and can't help but wonder what he's even holding. Yuji-Tai just stays chill and says it's Yu-Gi-Oh. He points out she's heading back after getting her hair done, and now she's switched up to her human look. As they walked by, a woman noticed how chill the kid was hanging out in his dad's arms. She smiled, thinking they looked pretty solid together. Yuji-Tai's shadow copy steps in, letting him know it can take care of the kid if things get awkward for him. Out of nowhere, Ghoul shoots the shadow copy a deadly stare, looking as if he's ready to throw hands. The copy just freezes, clearly thrown off and not sure what just happened. Yuji-Tai turns down the offer and sets Gyoel down carefully, basically saying she can handle walking by herself. The shadow copy just watches as the little girl stands up on her own. The shadow copy was honestly surprised he showed up with Jewel himself. He started thinking about it, wondering why Bam, Yorum, or Gyoel weren't at home to look after her instead. Yuji lets it know that Bom's stuck in bed right now, burning up with a fever from the magic transfer messing him up. Yuji-Tai still thinks back to the mess those other two girls stirred up. Gyoel was super hyped about dragging her sister out shopping, not taking no for an answer. Meanwhile, Yerum just sat off to the side, lighting up and ignoring everyone. Watching all that, he knew neither of them was ready to handle anything serious yet. The shadow copy gets what's going on. After that, Yuji-Tai looks at it and gets straight to the point, wanting to know what it came here to say. Yuji-Tai steps up, locking eyes with it. He isn't buying any act, and makes it clear he's onto everything. Whatever it feels or remembers, he gets it straight, no filter, so there's no way to hide. The shadow copy looks down, kinda anxious, and starts to explain. It says it's not unhappy with what it's doing, but it's got some questions about the job it's been given. The thing lets him know that the ones it worked for before couldn't care less about normal everyday stuff. They always brought it out when things got serious, like when someone had to be taken out or something big needed to get done. He'd ship it out to far-off places, using it to keep people in line and make sure everyone followed his rules, even if he had to get rough about it. This thing can't wrap its head around why its master just wants to chill and live a normal life. It was literally made for fighting, so all this peaceful daily stuff totally throws it off. The shadow copy quickly says sorry in case it came off rude, but Yuji-Tai stays chill, letting it know he gets it. He understands the shadow has its own thoughts, and it totally makes sense for stuff like that to pop up. Yuji-Tai tells it to just stick to the usual routine for now, saying there's a mission coming up soon. Until then, it's supposed to keep things low-key and not act out of the ordinary at work. Before heading out, he mentions that its coworkers looked kind of let down when it turned down their invite. He tells it to go grab a drink with them, dropping a hint that it probably won't be hanging out with them much longer anyway. The shadow clone nods, acting all respectful, then heads out right away to get the job done. Yuji-Tai sees a mom and her kid hanging out, both looking pretty happy. The little girl's hyped because her mom just got her something she really wanted, and she's clearly loving it. He catches Ghoul staring at the kid and the doll, and it hits him. She probably really wanted one of those. If he'd picked up on that sooner, he would have snagged one for her without thinking twice. Ghoul just keeps staring at him, not saying a word, but he can totally tell what she wants. Yuji-Tai just came out and asked her if she wanted a doll. She wasn't expecting that at all, and her eyes got big right away. He reaches up and swipes his hand through the air, ripping open a shadowy portal. He reaches into thin air and grabs a blue teddy bear, handing it over to her. It doesn't look exactly like the one she remembered, but he still shows it off, hoping she'll like it. Jewel grabs the bear, and honestly, it's almost as big as she is. Her face lights up and she goes a bit red, clearly happy but also kind of shy while checking it out. Yuji-Tai looks over and wants to know if she's into the doll. Gul just set the bear down and started backing away slowly, leaving Yuji-Tai standing there, totally confused about what just happened. Yuji scoops her up, wondering if she's still not happy. He's already out though and lets her know there's nothing left to give. Jewel stretches out her little hand, softly brushes his cheek, then leans in and rests her head right up against his forehead. Yuji-Tai didn't see that coming at all. He just stood there trying to figure out what was even going on. He remembers Bam, who got sick after the whole magic transfer thing, and starts to wonder if Jewel thinks giving someone magical energy is just another way to show you care. All these thoughts get tangled up with his dark memories. Stuff like battles, fighting, and all the chaos from his last life keeps popping into his head. He remembers all those insane battles with dragons and monsters, and it's wild how different things feel right now. Yuji-Tai snaps back to the real world and catches Gul staring at him with those wide, innocent eyes. It chills him out right away, and a relaxed smile shows up on his face. Jewel cracks a smile, and the two of them just keep moving side by side. Yuji-Tai holds her tiny hand as they stroll together under the sunset, everything chill and calm. Gul trails behind, pulling her new doll along the ground, just doing her own thing. Yuji-Tai froze for a second and let out a breath, like he could tell someone was coming up behind him. He starts thinking if they've already shown up, and Jewel just watches him, kinda confused about what's going on. Gayul pops up out of nowhere, waving like crazy and trying to get his attention. Gale rushed over and pulled Gul into a tight hug. Yuji-Tai wondered where she'd gone, so she let him know she'd made a fast run to the shopping district. She also let it slip that Gul actually thinks he's pretty cool. Gul wasn't expecting her sister to pull her in for a hug, so it caught her off guard. As they hugged, Gul leaned in and quietly teased her, knowing she'd be hyped about getting a gift from the master. Yuji-Tai couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was just trying to figure out if she could actually read Gul's mind. Gul broke it down for him, letting him know dragons have this wild ability where they can send feelings and thoughts straight through skin contact, not just mana. She pointed out that tapping foreheads is honestly the best way for that to work. Yuji-Tai thinks back to when Gyal touched his face. It hits him that she was actually trying to show how she felt. He admits to himself he never picked up on that before. Gale laughs to himself, acting like there's still stuff out there that even he hasn't figured out yet. Yuji-Tai spots the big bag Gale's carrying and gets curious about what she's hauling around. Gale grinned, grabbing a new guitar and showing it off to see if that's what the guy was talking about. She's hyped as she shares that she got it so she can show people what she really feels. No hugs or anything needed. She goes all in, striking a pose like she's about to perform, then checks with him to see if she's pulling off the singer vibe. She jumps right into playing and singing, full of energy, right there in the street. She lets Yuji-Tai know she's all in and ready to put in the work. Yuji-Tai sits back, just watching Ga'ul do her thing on the guitar. As she plays, his mind drifts off, bringing up flashbacks from his old life. He can't help but notice the medical stuff tools and syringes scattered on the floor right next to the guitar, making the whole scene hit different. Ga'ul sat there looking wiped out, her hands and clothes stained with blood. All around her, empty bottles were just lying everywhere. Yuji-Tai glances at her, his eyes showing real concern and a kind of quiet pity, finally getting just how much she's been through. He snaps back to real life and spots her pushing down on the guitar strings, even though her fingers are messed up. She's clearly hurting, but she's not holding back, and there's smoke curling up from her busted fingertips. Yuji spots her hand shaking and can tell she's struggling. He stays chill and just lets her know not to overdo it or force herself too hard. Gyal didn't see that coming. He was caught off guard by the advice. He wanted to know what was up, but the guy just told her to chill and not rush things before heading out with her. Still, she wasn't about to hold back. She was set on giving it her all. Yuji-Tai decides to switch things up and starts talking about Bam, wanting to know if she's awake yet. As they walk side by side, Gyal held Yuji-Tai's hand and let him know that Bam was still out cold, her fever running high. Gyal sounded tired about it, saying it was bound to happen after Bam pushed herself with magic nonstop for days. He brings up Ye Riyum, and Gayul starts thinking, tapping her finger to her lips while she figures out what to say. Yo Riyum has been holed up in her room all day, glued to her dramas, and not even thinking about stepping outside. Yuji-Tai notices this and thinks it's actually a win. At least she's not out causing chaos for once, and getting hooked on shows seems way better than her usual wild antics. As soon as they walked in, Yuji-Tai told Gul to wash her hands. Gul was cool with it and followed along. Gyal starts thinking about whether Bam's awake yet. Out of nowhere, Yuji-Tai drops his hand on Gyal's shoulder. His face goes serious real quick. He tells Gayul, looking dead serious, to grab Gayul and head straight to her room. He warns her not to step out until he says it's cool. Gale notices the way his vibe switches up out of nowhere. He wonders what's up, but the guy just snaps back with a quick command, not wasting any time. Gale freezes up for a second, totally freaked out, but then she grabs Ghoul and hurries to do what he said. Yuji-Tai pushes open Bomb's door real slow, just peeking in without a sound. As he takes in what's inside, his whole vibe changes. His eyes go cold and serious, like he's already bracing himself for whatever's next. He steps into the room and sees a bunch of armored knights all standing around a bomb that's just sitting there, not even ticking. Their eyes are glowing in the shadows, and the whole scene gives off some real video game vibes. One of the knights, decked out in full armor, turned to Yuji-Tai and stared him down, basically demanding to know if he was the guy who messed up the Green Dragon. The people breaking in turn out to be guardians, knights, and dragon slaves who got stuck with the job of guarding the nest. They get controlled by subjugation magic that's used on monsters or people who are actually useful. Some of these guys are next level, sticking close as bodyguards whenever the younger crew heads out to have fun. Yuji-Tai checks out the bomb, who's out cold, and starts thinking the knight probably hit her with some kind of sleep spell. The knight slams his foot down and charges straight at Yuji-Tai, getting right up in his face and wanting to know what happened to the green. Yuji let the knight know he messed up by not introducing himself before showing up at someone else's place. But the knight wasn't having it. He called out Yuji for not getting what was really going on and made it clear that only the strong get to ask questions. Out of nowhere, this insane dark vibe called Blackheart just bursts out of the knight. The guy makes it super clear he's the one running the show. Nobody else gets to ask questions. He straight up puts Yuji-Tai in his place, acting like Yu's just a regular dude not worth his time. Yuji spots a serious protection barrier wrapping around the whole area. It's late, and Yuji-Tai can tell the knight isn't letting him off easy. The knight pushes for answers, wanting Yuji to explain what went down with the green. Yuji's face relaxes a bit. He finally lets him know what's really going on. A blue dragon just showed up. The knight checks out the bomb, who's knocked out after burning herself out teaching the kid polymorph and how to transfer magic. Yuji-Tai fills him in on why she's like this. The armored knight stares down the guy in front of him, not holding back at all. He really wants to know who this dude is. Yuji-Tai just stands there, totally chill and sure of himself, saying he's their guardian. The knight hears that and can't help but roast him, thinking the whole thing is a joke. The knight just kind of side-eyes the human, not really buying that he actually gets what these creatures are all about. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai just shoots him a look, totally locked in, showing he knows exactly what's going on. That's why he's got a question ready for them. Yuji-Tai catches the knights off guard when he calls out how early they showed up. He reminds them they were meant to get dropped way further out through some dimensional rift, not here. The knights just freeze, totally thrown off, trying to figure out how some regular guy could know all these tiny details about them. Their leader, though, starts to get it. This dude clearly knows way more than he's supposed to. The leader steps up and pretty much says they're in charge of protecting kids and making sure history stays on track. He admits Yuji-Tai watched over the kids for them, but he still points out that, honestly, Yuji-Tai doesn't come off as a good guy at all. The knight points out that letting him go could cause problems down the line. Yuji-Tai, staying icy, just wants to settle things with a straight-up talk. The leader doesn't even think about it. He just goes straight for an attack, swinging his massive weapon from above. He acts like he's doing the guy a favor, saying it won't hurt. Meanwhile, the other knights sneak up from behind, trying to finish things off in the shadiest way possible. The blast goes off with a loud boom and purple energy shoots up everywhere, but Yuji-Tai just stands his ground. The leader swings his horse sword, expecting it to hit hard, but Yuji just shuts it down like it's nothing, using the SS rank formless sword. The leader can't believe how easy it was for Yuji to block him. Yuji moves super quick and just sliced the knight's hand clean off before anyone could react. The leader drops to the ground, clearly hurting. One of the other knights just shakes his head, thinking the guy totally messed up by getting caught off guard like that. From behind the group, he watches as the knights yell out, all set to take down this human. Swords and spears come at Yuji-Tai from all sides, closing in fast. Out of nowhere, the leader freezes up, totally thrown off and scared when he figures out this human is way tougher than anyone thought. The knights get tossed around in the air, looking totally wrecked, with their gear and weapons busted up by Yuji-Tai's insane strength. Yuji-Tai stands by himself in the center of the room, surrounded by busted armor and knocked out knights all over the floor. The leader's on the ground, staring at him, clearly scared out of his mind. From the start, the leader knew something was off. It just didn't add up that some random human was looking after baby dragons and even knew they existed. The leader catches on way too late that he should have trusted his gut at the start. Now, he's 100% sure the guy in front of him isn't just some regular dude. In his head, the leader sees Yuji-Tai as someone way above everyone else, someone you just don't mess with. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai just stares him down with these cold, intense eyes that make it hard to even look back. Yuji-Tai walks up to the shaky leader, basically pointing out that talking things out was his idea from the beginning. The leader looks at him, wanting to know if he's the one running things in this world. Yujitai didn't let him finish and shut him down fast, telling the knight to just answer his question. He wanted to know how the knight made it out alive, since something clearly went wrong with the whole dimension thing. The leader gives in and tells them it's all because something messed up the dimension. He says their masters straight up opened a portal that connects the nest to this world, just to move them over here. Out of nowhere, the dimension just glitched, and everyone got tossed out to random spots. Yujitai wants to know what's really going on with this weird dimensional stuff, but the leader has to be real with him. He doesn't have all the answers. He just remembers their master once talked about something called the Horizon of Providence, and that's all he's got right now. He breaks it down, saying the weird distortion happens because of the crazy power coming from that horizon. It's like the whole place gets warped, almost like the dimensions are bending around it. Yugite can tell something's off. In all the times he's gone back before, he never ran into anything like this dimensional glitch. He's totally lost, trying to figure out what the Horizon of Providence even means, and realizes he's never heard of it once in his whole life. Yujitai starts getting worried when he notices that a bunch of things are different this time around. It's not like before. This is actually the first time a green dragon guardian, instead of the usual ones, has shown up and come after him. Yujite wants answers, so he straight up questions if the Horizon of Providence had anything to do with them showing up, and if it actually helped them get here. The Knight Leader tells everyone that something out there, past where anyone can see, is what actually saved them. Yujitai just sits there, kind of stunned, trying to figure out what that even means. The knight could tell Will was leading him, sort of showing him where to go as he pushed through the wild spinning vortex. He says all he did was stick to that mission, rounding up the guardians and tracking down where the baby dragons ended up. Yujite wasn't buying it, so he decided to check things out for himself. He reached out toward the knight's helmet, wanting to see what was really going on. He tells him to stare straight into his eyes while still gripping his helmet. He turned on his SS rank Eyes of Balance, one of the top 3 powers he took from the Demon World's Archduke. With these eyes, he can instantly tell who's real and who's fake. He sees right through any lies. So, when the knight speaks, it's obvious he's telling the truth. Yujitai thought back, realizing he'd always taken out any danger before it got this far. He remembered how he'd stepped up, dealing with threats so stuff like this would never blow up. He's straight up pissed, trying to figure out why random stuff keeps popping up even though he's checked every inch of the place a million times. He wants to know what's out there past the horizon, so he checks in with the knight. The knight explains that whatever's waiting over there isn't friendly. It's got some serious issues, almost like it's out to get him. The way he sees it, that thing feels more like a curse than anything else. The knight thinks it could be because he's carrying some kind of energy that came from the green dragon. Out of nowhere, Yujit comes through and lands a heavy hit, catching everyone off guard in the middle of the night. He let out a rough groan and crashed hard to the ground. Yujit spots this weird light coming off the knight's armor, and it clicks for him what's really going on. As Golden Chain showed up and circled the knight, the old clock started doing its thing, trying to figure out why time felt so out of whack. The authorities started scanning around, looking for anything or anyone that might be a threat to Yujite. As it focused, chains made of light pulled together, twisting into a glowing ball right in front of everyone. The world straight up pushes back hard against anything that messes with its original timeline. The system drops a warning that, from now on, anything showing up from outside the timeline or stuff with its own separate timeline counts as a threat and will get checked out super carefully. Yujit stares down at the glowing hourglass in his hand, noticing how it's starting to act up. This power usually only does anything when he turns back time, but now it's getting involved on its own. He knows there's nothing he can really do about it right now. He realizes he just has to sit tight when the clock disappears from his hand. The knights kept glancing at each other, trying to figure out what was up with that weird light turning into a clock. Everyone was low-key wondering if everything was finally chill now. Yujitai faces the group, weapon ready, basically letting them know he's got the whole dragon situation under control. He's handling it solo, so there's really nothing left for the others to jump in on. He notices that whatever magic kept them stuck with the dragons is gone now, thanks to the messed up dimensions getting fixed. Honestly, with nothing holding them back anymore, there's no point in hanging around. The knights couldn't believe it. They wanted to know if he was really just going to let them walk out. He kept his cool and basically said he didn't care, as long as they didn't mess things up. One by one, the knights decide it's time to head out. Yujitai was cool with everyone leaving, but out of nowhere, the knight leader got up looking totally unsteady and said he couldn't go. That left Yujitai just standing there, not saying a word. Yujitai looks at him, caught off guard, and the leader just drops that he's the one who keeps everything about causality in check. Yugite doesn't let him finish talking. He steps up and throws a heavy punch, dropping him to the ground and shutting him up on the spot. Yujit steps right over the knight who's down, making it clear he's not messing around and wants an answer. The knight, still hurting and barely holding it together, refuses to leave no matter how much it hurts. Yujite plants his foot right on the knight leader's chest, pinning him down hard. The knight leader's face twists up as he yells out, struggling with the weight pressing into him. Yujit stares him down one last time, face totally unreadable, just waiting for an answer. The knight's voice comes out rough but steady. Even with his helmet on, you can see his eyes lit up, showing he's not backing down. No way he's leaving. The knight struggled to breathe with Yujitai's foot pressing down on him, totally stuck and with no way to bail on the dragons. Yujite looks over at the other knights hanging back. One of the guys lets him know their leader isn't hearing anyone out no matter what he says. Other knights just see him as kind of clueless, like he doesn't even notice chances to break free when they're right there. Because of that, they just let him do his own thing. Yujitai just stands there for a second, not saying anything. He takes a breath, lets out a quick sigh, and then basically just gives in, saying he's cool with it. Yujitai looked at the knight on the ground and started calling out his weapon. He figured if someone wanted to be a guardian, they had to be this stubborn and tough, nothing less would cut it. After that, he takes out all the other knights without breaking a sweat. The leader starts thinking maybe Yujitai was just messing around to see what they could do, but Yujitai just shrugs it off like it's nothing. Yujite notices something's off about tonight compared to all the other knights he's seen. He wonders what's really got him wanting to stick close to the Green Dragon this time. The knight drops to one knee, showing respect, and says he's always been loyal to the Green Dragon clan. Yujitai gets it. She knows he's loyal, but she points out he's already got her back. He steps up and calls him out for being way weaker, basically wondering what he could even do as a guardian when Yujitai's around. Yujite gives him this sneaky grin like he already knows something and points out that there's one job that just fits him right now. The scene moves over to the hall, where Yori Gaiul, and Jiul are hanging out together. Yujitai signals the knight, wanting him to go over and say hi to the group. Yujitai lets everyone know the knight's the new janitor. The knight just stands there frozen, rocking a bright pink kitchen apron on top of his armor. The knight showed up later, scrubbing dishes with a straight face. He had on these bright pink rubber gloves and let out a heavy sigh, clearly not thrilled about how things turned out for him. He remembers walking up to Yujit, who was chilling at his computer. He couldn't believe it and straight up asked if being a janitor was some kind of prank. He just doesn't get why watching over the dragon has anything to do with doing chores, and honestly, it's not adding up for him at all. Yujitai just straight up shuts him down, making it clear he already said he could handle protecting the dragon solo. He even made that spot just for him to hold it down. Yujitai's face goes cold and intense, making it clear he's not messing around. If this guy can't even handle cleaning up, Yuji's basically telling him he's done for. He's not just asking, he's making sure the job gets done right. He's back at the sink, scrubbing plates and just kind of zoning out, thinking about how wild it is that he went from leading knights to just washing dishes. Baum walks into the kitchen, dressed chill in comfy clothes, and wants to know if he's actually the guardian from Ascalepa. The knight starts to get a bit awkward, stumbling over his words while checking if she's all right. He accidentally calls her the Green before quickly fixing it. She just flashes him a confident smile, letting him know it's nothing serious, just a light cold. He walks into the kitchen and spots her already there. She says she heard he's starting a janitor job at this place. Baum points out that he looks good in the apron, and it totally catches him off guard. He just stands there, frozen, not sure how to react. She looks at him, kind of nervous but smiling, and lets him know she's counting on him to look after everyone from now on as Mr. Janitor. Even with his helmet on, the knight's face heats up every time she says something nice. Doesn't matter if he's scrubbing the floor or doing the dishes, her words always get to him. The knight gets hyped out of nowhere and accidentally smashes the plate he's holding because he's so pumped. He's basically dropping a loud promise to the young miss that she'll never have to touch water again. He's got it all handled, Armada style. Baum glances down at the broken plate on the floor. He keeps it chill, but you can tell he's not happy. It was a pricey one. Gul showed up looking different every time. One moment he was rocking a blue bear suit, and he switched it up with a school uniform and a yellow backpack, and later he pulled out a full-on gothic dress. Someone kept snapping pics as he hit a bunch of poses, and honestly, every look had its own vibe. Gul's snapping pics on her phone, totally locked in and grinning like crazy. She can't get over how cute she looks, and it's clear she's hyped about it. Gaiul looked over at her sister Bam, wondering when Bam picked up those awesome clothes for her. Bam, looking pretty proud of herself, explained she ordered them right after she got better. Then Bam glanced at the youngest, wanting to know what she thought about the outfit. Gaiul rocks side to side, totally hyped, hugging her blue teddy bear tight. Gail sees right away how much the kid is into clothes. She's so into it, she can't help but give a shy little smile. Gail looks over at the janitor, who's actually a knight, and wants to know which outfit he thinks looks the best. The guy doesn't pick a side, just says Miss Gail looks good in whatever she wears. Gail's kind of impressed by how smooth he is with his words and gives him props for it. Yujitai just stands there, not saying anything, while Gyo cracks up, realizing this guy's actually got some serious social skills. Out of nowhere, Yujitai catches Gale off guard by noticing she's still holding onto her guitar. That comment totally throws her off, making her tense up and not sure what to do next. Gale keeps acting like she's just messing around, but Balm steps in while brushing Jules' hair. He calls out Yujitai for being too rough and says Gale actually enjoys it. Yujitai shrugs off any claims about being too harsh, then quickly switches gears. He brings up Yo-Ryum, who nobody's seen around all day. He figures she's probably just chilling in her room, binging her favorite dramas. The Guardian steps in looking kind of uncomfortable. He mentions he tried to tidy up Ms. Yorin's room earlier, but she just kicked him out. He starts worrying hard when he notices how pale she looks. She's clearly not doing well. That memory of her kicking him out before pops into his head and he can't shake it. Bomb tries to play it cool, tossing out a nervous smile and saying the reason probably just pulled an all-nighter. Meanwhile, Yujitai just goes quiet, his face showing he's clearly annoyed. Yujitai walks over and opens Yo-Ryum's door, instantly hit by the harsh smell of smoke. The place is trashed, cigarette butts everywhere, empty drink cans all over the floor. Yo-Ryum's just chilling on the floor, surrounded by all this random mess. He's still in his comfy clothes, clutching a can, and honestly, he looks totally drained and kind of forgotten about. She looks at him without any real interest, just snacking on some dried squid. She casually throws out a question, basically wondering if he just showed up to see if she's still around. Yujitai spots this huge TV right in front of him and can't help but wonder if she's always watching these shows. Turns out, she really does. Curious, he checks if she's seen anything else on there, but she just shakes her head. Nights pop up on the screen, and Yorihim immediately starts going off about how Season 7 totally dropped the ball with the storyline and got all the fight scenes wrong. Yujitai just tells her she can quit watching if she wants, and she fires back with some heavy sarcasm, basically calling him some kind of genius. Then he gets serious and tells her to come outside for a second because he needs to talk. She looks at him, pretty caught off guard. Yujitai pulls everyone into the living room, Joel chilling on his lap. He's all business, letting them know it's cleaning time and nobody's getting out of it. The three girls and their guardian all chill on the couch, and Gale's mind is racing, trying to figure out why everyone suddenly decided a deep clean was happening. Yujitai calls them out, telling Yorihim and Gaul they need to act like humans while they're on Earth, especially since their rooms are a total mess. Gaul freaks out, wondering how he even got into her room. She remembers her mom always saying never to barge into someone else's space without asking first. Bomb just throws her a sneaky grin and brings up how her mom probably told her to clean her room before moving in too. Gale totally loses it, tripping over her words and yelling, "That's not even what they're talking about right now." Yujitai gets serious and starts handing out chores. He tells the janitor to take care of the living room and kitchen, then tells everyone else to clean up their own rooms. Reem was totally losing it, ranting about how cleaning made zero sense since there was already a janitor. Meanwhile, Gale just sat there next to her, clearly annoyed by how Reem was acting. Out of nowhere, Yo-Ryum swiped her dirty finger right across Gale's face, claiming she got that just for her. Gale totally freaked out, yelling and looking completely grossed out. Gale suddenly leaped up, yelling about how much she can't stand anything gross. Yo-Ryum just pointed at her, kind of roasting her for acting like she hates dirt when her own room's a total mess and she's getting called out for it. Yo-Ryum gets up, clearly bored, and tells Shorty, the guardian, to clean her room since she's about to work out. Shorty just nods and gets right to it, no questions asked. Balm tries to dip out too, bringing up how she already cleaned her room yesterday. She says she'll just go grab stuff for dinner instead, so she bounces, leaving Gale on the couch by herself. Gale ends up tearing up, thinking about how the family's gotten bigger now, so she's got to step up and do her part. Yujitai just nodded and went along with Bomb's idea, staying chill the whole time. Out of nowhere, Yugite thinks back to that one time when Fish ended up stuck in purple rice, and his whole vibe changes. He looks straight up horrified just imagining Bomb being in charge of dinner again. Bomb looked over at Yujit, grinning, and asked if he was craving anything special. Yujit just shrugged it off and told her to pick whatever she wanted, not making a big deal out of it. She was totally cool with that and seemed pretty happy about his answer. Yale Ram's room was trashed, straight-up chaos everywhere. Empty cans and cigarette butts covered the floor, and the janitor just stood there with his broom, totally stunned by how bad it looked. The Guardian gulps, thinking the demon world would honestly be easier to deal with than what's happening right now. That's when it finally clicks for him. Why Yorheim always looks so pale and his skin's all messed up. The Guardian crouched next to a planter, but instead of flowers, it was just packed with cigarette butts. He stared at it, low-key stunned, thinking maybe that girl was in her room training herself to handle poison or something wild like that. He grabs a trash bag and gets right to work, picking up empty bottles and big cans first. Out of nowhere, Yugite, the shadow clone, shows up behind him, rocking a cop uniform. He steps in and blocks him hard, making it clear that this move isn't it, nodding at the metal can the dude's holding. Yugite started going off on the Guardian about sorting metal cans and plastic, basically calling him out for not knowing how to clean up after himself. Yugite couldn't help but wonder, kind of roasting, if people in Ascalepa even know what recycling is, making it sound like it's stuck in the past. The Guardian zoned out, just staring at the can, but his mind was somewhere else. He picked up on this weird demon world vibe coming off the guy in front of him. That's when it hit him. This wasn't the real Yugite, just some copy. Yugite, the copy, spots the Guardian zoning out and just shoots him this annoyed look, wondering what's up with him and if he's planning to pull an all-nighter or something. The Guardian starts shaking and drops his head, kinda embarrassed, knowing deep down that this copy's power and clout could easily fool anyone into thinking it's the real deal. Right then, Yujit walks in and spots his double laying into the Guardian. The shadow kinda panics, scrambling to greet him. The copy tries to explain itself, saying it was just trying to give the janitor some tips since he wasn't really doing his job right. It even throws out a rude insult, basically calling the guy useless and full of himself. Yujitai steps in, looking chill as usual. He tells his copy to quit giving speeches and start helping out. Turns out, he called in his double because cleaning Yoryum's room solo would have been way too much. The day kicks off with everyone getting to work. Yorum starts working out, staying focused. He also heads out for bomb shopping, making sure he gets what he needs. Gayul is just vibing, hanging out and playing with Gayul. Meanwhile, Yujitai, his lookalike, and the Guardian team up, grinding through the huge mess and cleaning non-stop until the sun goes down. Once all the work finally wrapped up, the copy showed up in front of Yugite, who was just chilling at his desk. It let him know the mission was done, and Yugite looked pretty satisfied with how things turned out. Yugite pulls up a map on his computer, zooms straight in on Moscow, Russia, and lets his copy know that's where it's heading next. He says there's this mage group called Invisibility doing experiments at that place. They're studying transcendent-type mages, and he pulls up pics of test tubes with weird creatures and people getting experimented on. Yugite tells his double to wrap up all the police work by the end of the week and then bounce straight to Russia without wasting any time. Yugite locks onto the target he needs. He's after a command-type transcendent mage, the one everyone calls Prototype X. The copy doesn't waste any time and jumps on the mission, letting everyone know it's getting ready to go right now. Out of nowhere, the door swings open and Bomb steps in, grinning big like she's back and ready for whatever's next. The Guardian greeted Bomb as soon as she showed up, and Gale couldn't help but stare at all the groceries she was carrying. He seriously wondered what was up with that much food. Bomb just grinned and explained she grabbed extra because the family's gotten bigger, so it's time to start cooking more. As soon as Bomb shows up again, the copy tries to dip and make a run for it. But the real Yujite isn't having any of that. He steps up, grabs the copy by the shoulder, and puts a stop to whatever it was planning. Yujitai stared down his copy with a dead serious face, not messing around at all. He wanted that clone to swap outfits with him right then and there. Bomb called everyone over to the dinner table, but the food looked wild purple soup letting off some sketchy smoke, with whole fish just standing straight up in the bowl. The girls dig in. Gayul's eyes light up. She's pretty hyped because the food tastes just like what they had back in Ascalepa. Yorum tries it too and thinks it's actually decent. Gale really wanted the janitor to join them for a meal, but Yael Rayum started clowning on her, saying she was dumb since the guy literally couldn't eat with that helmet covering his mouth. Yujitai, the copy, is just chilling at the table in some basic home clothes. Sweat is literally dripping down his face as he stares at this absolute fail of a meal. That's when it hits him. His master didn't call him over for anything important, just dumped him here to suffer through this awful dinner instead. Outside in the garden, Yujitai stands there in his suit, keeping quiet. It's dark and he's away from everything that just happened, finally out of that mess. The scene cuts to this rundown factory spot on the edge of Lair. It's dead quiet except for someone breathing hard and the whole ground is covered with bodies and blood everywhere. Inside the old empty factory, the demon lost it, yelling with blood all over his face. He glared at Yugi-T, throwing out threats and making it clear things were about to get real because of what Yugi-T had done. He goes off on him, really pressing if this guy even gets who's backing him up, all while Yujitai just keeps holding him with zero emotion. Yujitai slices off the demon's hands, sending the guy crashing to the ground hard. He stays completely chill, just letting him know that he's got all the info on that supporter. Yujit yanks the demon's hair without holding back, making it clear that he knows exactly who's backing him. It's Wei Yan, the professor from Blue Dragon Dorms, but everyone in the know calls him the demon of the Invisibility Organization. Yujitai drives his sword right into the demon's neck, his mind racing as he tries to figure out what Wei Yan's up to. Yujitai switched on his SS rank Eyes of Balance. Basically, there was no way the demon could get away with lying now. He let the demon know straight up that honesty was the only option. The demon totally freaks out, his face changing fast as he gets super scared. He stutters, saying he honestly has no clue about the details. He lets it slip that Wei Yan made him a deal. If everything goes according to plan in the next 3 months, he'll get picked for a spot too. The Seat is basically the name for the 4 top demons in the invisibility organization called the Elite. Whenever someone makes it to a seat, they get their own squad and shoot up to the top demon ranks, packing some serious disaster-level power. Yuji takes a second to really think it over. It's weird because in all the other timelines, Wei Yan never got a seat or anything close. He shouldn't even be strong enough right now to set up something this big. Yuji Tai's vintage clock, known as EX Authority, picks up on some bad vibes coming from way past where anyone can see in Providence. The Authority starts hunting for whatever broke the rules in this world. The system locks onto the target and calls him out as Demon Wei Yan. Out of nowhere, a warning pops up on the screen saying something or someone from outside the timeline is messing with things, and they're definitely not cool with this whole time reset plan. Turns out, Demon Wei Yan broke out of the whole restart cycle. Now he's basically a glitch stacked with every skill and power he ever had, all rolled into one. Yuji Tai catches on fast things are getting risky. The Guardians were already a problem, but now Wei Yan just pulled up, making things way messier. Now, this random enemy could mess with anything tied to him. The scene cuts back to the demon, totally shaken up and scared. He's freaking out, showing he really doesn't know much. He's desperate, basically asking Yuji Tai to let him stick around so he can try to dig up more info. The demon starts making up this whole story about having a sick mom waiting for him back home, hoping he'll get some sympathy. He even promises he won't turn on anyone, just trying to get people on his side. Yujite didn't waste a second. He just went straight for it and blasted the demon's head clean off with a lightning strike, taking it out in one shot. Yujite just stared down at the body, eyes sharp and glowing. He remembered how he'd already warned the guy earlier, lying was pointless. He fires up his incineration S skill and burns the body, thinking that no matter what, this guy was never making it out alive, even if he was being real with him. Yujitai moves through campus, trees and fountains all around him, deep in thought. He figures if Wei Yan's plan is big enough to get him a spot, it's gotta be something huge, definitely connected to Lair. He thinks back to when Wei Yan wanted Yo Run to be the student rep at the year-end banquet. Stuff starts clicking, and he realizes this whole messed-up plan is tied to that event. The scene moves over to a chill park. Yujitai is hanging back, watching his 2 students stand in front of Bam and Gaiul. Both of them are clearly losing it over how cute the kid is. While Yugul hugged her teddy bear, someone wanted to know what her name was. Bam just smiled and told them she was Yugul. The student thinks the name is pretty cool, pointing out how it matches her hair color. He's low-key curious and wants to know how old she is. Both students freeze when they spot Yujitai standing behind them. His presence is so intense and intimidating that whatever they were talking about just stops on the spot. Yujit just stared them down, his face totally unreadable and eyes sharp, making the girls freak out. They got super nervous, quickly said no, and dipped out of there fast. Yujit dropped down on the bench right next to Bam. She wanted to know where he'd been all day, but Bam just kept his eyes forward and gave her a quick reply about having stuff to take care of. Bam wondered what Yujitai had been up to with Gaul, since she'd been sick the whole time and couldn't hang out with the little one. She nods over at Gaiul, who's just chilling by the fountain. In her head, she's kind of bummed that school kicks off tomorrow, so days like this are probably done for a while. Bam looked over at Yujitai, smiling. He seemed pretty happy, almost like he was proud of how they all looked together, kind of like they were an actual family now. Bam starts handing out roles for their little game, saying Ghoul's gonna be the daughter while she takes the spot as the mom. She glances at him, kinda nervous but also throwing a look that says it's obvious he's the dad. Yujitai just stares back, totally blank, not giving anything away. Bam can't hold it in and just cracks up, covering her mouth so she doesn't laugh too loud. She lets him know she's only messing around and wonders why he's always got that serious vibe. He stays ice cold, basically shutting her down and saying if she's gonna talk wild, she might as well head home. Bam watched Yujite walk ahead with Jewel in his arms, and she couldn't help but smile to herself. Just thinking about how much fun they had playing made her low-key happy. The next morning, students pulled up to the academy, sunlight everywhere, and the weather actually kind of perfect for spring. Gail bolts out the door, toast hanging from her mouth, totally hyped because she's finally heading to school. You could tell she's locked in and honestly just stoked for what's coming. Bam keeps pace next to her, trying to figure out which classes she picked, secretly hoping they'll end up in the same ones. Gail runs through her list. Superhuman studies, literature, and magic are all on her schedule. Bam catches her sister and notices she's got toast in her mouth, even though breakfast was already a thing. She can't help but wonder what's up with that. Gail laughs, kind of embarrassed, and tells Bam she's not really up on all those classic story moments. Her mom once mentioned something about running late to school with toast in your mouth and crashing into someone at a corner, but Gail honestly doesn't get why that's such a thing. Suddenly, she realizes that this person is supposed to be her soulmate, In her head, she starts picturing a good-looking dragon, kind of like something straight out of a fantasy anime. Out of nowhere, Gale runs right into someone standing ahead of her. It's Riem showing up with that sneaky grin, acting like it's just random they met here. Gale definitely didn't see that coming. Yoram jokes around, acting like maybe she's meant to be Gael's match, but Gael totally freaks out and has to remind her that she's a girl. Riem just went for it. She said she'd seen girls in American shows do the same thing, then straight up took the toast right out of Gaul's mouth. Gaul totally lost it. He couldn't believe what just happened. Yori tries to switch things up and wonders where the old guy, Yuji Tai, ended up. He remembered Yuji Tai mentioned checking out their class, but instead he dipped to the faculty office first. Yorium threw out a sneaky guess that he probably spent the night out with some girl, and Bomb just stopped dead, totally caught off guard. Bomb starts freaking out, barely holding it together as sweat drips down his face. Gale notices right away and, looking concerned, wonders if she's sick since she's sweating buckets. Gale catches a bunch of camera flashes going off and sees a crowd starting to gather around him. Yo-Room suddenly gets it. They're reporters snapping pics of the new kids everyone's been talking about. The three of them just stand there basically in the spotlight. Everyone in class started whispering when they noticed Yo-Room. Guys pointed her out, recognizing she was the one who totally outplayed Sophia and said what everyone else was afraid to say. The reporters spot the girl with red hair, and Yo-Room instantly remembers what happened before. He gets annoyed and mutters under his breath. Journalists crowded around her, phones and cameras out, trying to get her attention and waiting for her to say something. People crowd around her, shoving microphones in her face, tossing out questions nonstop. Gaul stands off to the side, honestly freaked out by how wild everyone's acting. Yo-Room totally loses it, her patience just gone. She snaps, raising her voice so loud and fierce that everyone freezes. No one dares say a word after that. She pretty much shuts the whole place down. Everything goes quiet. Yo-Room really lets them have it, calling them out and making it clear she's not messing around. She reminds them that she already gave her answer before, and warns them she'll handle each of them solo if she has to. She holds up her finger right in their faces, grinning like she's totally unbothered and just waiting to see if anyone's bold enough to come at her. Back at the house, School sat on the floor with her doll, staring at the door with nothing going on in her eyes. She looked bored out of her mind, just waiting for something, anything to happen. The janitor glanced over at her and kind of regretted it. Now that everyone else was gone, watching over this kid felt way more annoying and a lot harder than before. The Guardian thinks back to what Yujitai said before heading out. Jitai mentioned the kids were off at school and he wouldn't be around at home either, so the place would be pretty empty. He lays it out straight, letting him know he's on solo duty with Ghoul today, so he needs to keep an eye on the little guy and make sure he's all good. The Guardian's stressed out, thinking this job is way tougher than just cleaning up, since he's never looked after a kid before. Meanwhile, Jewel just watches him without saying anything, hugging her doll tight. The Guardian, clearly uneasy, tries to speak up and calls her Ms. Ghoul, hoping to finally get a response. He tells her she should probably chill somewhere comfy until everyone else gets back later that evening. Jewel just looks at him for a second, says nothing, then turns her head away like she couldn't care less. She straight up ignores what he said, not even giving him the time of day. Sweat dripped down the Guardian's face under his heavy helmet. He could barely breathe with how embarrassed and tense he was. It honestly felt like the helmet was closing in on him. He lets out a tired breath, deciding he's had enough of the heavy vibe in the room. He heads back to cleaning, just trying to clear his head. The Guardian shows up again, trying a new approach. This time, he keeps it chill and asks if she's down to check out a picture book together. Jules' blue eyes light up, and the Guardian finally chills out a bit, glad she's actually into picture books. The Guardian drops down on the floor right in front of her, ready to read the story for her. The Guardian looks at the book and sees the title, Dad is a Fairy. Right away, a cute cartoon pops up showing a dad and his daughter, both with wings. Way back in the day, deep in the woods, things looked wild through the warrior Guardian's imagination. He always pictured the forest as this crazy, monster-filled place from before the demon world even existed. He keeps reading and finds out that Dole Suni and her dad used to live there. The Guardian looks at everything with this dark vibe, totally convinced the mom didn't make it. He thinks any parent getting through times like that is basically unheard of. In his head, the dad and daughter show up as these intense, super jacked figures, almost like something out of a wild anime edit. He keeps reading and finds out the dad used to tell his daughter some old stories every night before she went to sleep. The Guardian instantly figures those old stories from back then are probably all about the Great War, picturing some wild, bloody battles going down. Seeing how things played out, the Guardian just decides right then that Dole Suni is totally obsessed with fighting. Meanwhile, Gobul can't help but stare at him, not buying it at all and clearly suspicious. He keeps reading and finds out that one morning, Dole Suni woke up and her dad just wasn't there. The Guardian instantly gets what's up. He figures the dad dipped out to find a new wife, just like how guys back then would take prisoners as side chicks after a fight. Suddenly he pictures the dad straight up grabbing a random woman, and the whole scene looks messed up. The Guardian says something weird about how Dole Suni should be glad about getting a new mom, but in his head, all he can picture is the kidnapped woman freaking out and screaming. The Guardian looks over at Ghoul, ready to keep talking about Dol Suni, but Ghoul is just staring him down, clearly mad, with this intense vibe around her. He totally spoiled the story for her, and now she's not having it at all. He's confused, trying to figure out what's up and if she wasn't into the story, but then Yule just points her pinky at something. Jewel points straight at the corner of the room, and the Guardian checks out where she's aiming. Jewel stretched out on the floor, just chilling and checking out the story, humming to himself like he didn't have a care in the world. Meanwhile, the Guardian sat off to the side, kind of balled up and clearly annoyed that his whole storytelling attempt completely flopped. Outside the academy, a sleek black car pulls up and parks. The driver gets out and heads over to open the door. Gong Joo-hee, the next in line for the famous Gong clan, one of the top 3 sword families in Korea, walks out. Even though everyone expects a sword master, she's more into skincare routines than hitting the training grounds right now. Joo-hee's getting ready, putting on her makeup, but she's not happy about it. She really can't stand SWORD training since all that sweating messes up her look, and it honestly just annoys her every time. Joo-hee spots a huge group of reporters and photographers hanging out by the entrance. She instantly assumes they're all there for her and can't help but be a little impressed, thinking maybe she's the reason they showed up. Kim, her secretary, starts acting nervous, trying to get her attention. He tells her he doesn't think the people around are here just to snap pictures of her. She whips around, surprised, staring at him like she can't believe what she just heard. Joo-hee storms through the crowd, annoyed and straight up confused about who these reporters are actually here for if it's not her. She shoves past a photographer without even slowing down, just trying to get through. She spots the answer right in front of her when Gayul and Yuriam show up just getting there. Joo-hee can't help but admit to herself that they look straight up stunning. Seeing Yo-Reum just chilling on the back of a student, treating him like a chair, totally threw Gayul off. Yo-Reum didn't seem bothered at all, just letting Gayul know the student actually asked for it. The student, handshaking but with a grin, admits he's actually a fan and honestly doesn't care. Yo-Reum just shoots him a look, acting like what he said was straight up ridiculous. Yo-Reum instantly takes charge of the reporters, making it clear they each get just one shot to ask something. She doesn't waste time, letting them know she'll bounce if anyone tries to mess with her rules. She spots a journalist in a hat, and he's just about to launch into this super hyped intro about being from Taiwan Public Broadcasting. But before he can really get going, Yo-Reum shuts him down quick since he's taking way too long. She goes right to the next person, leaving the guy just standing there, totally caught off guard since he didn't even get to ask his question. Everyone's talking about her right now, especially after that French reporter brought it up. She didn't even care though, just picked her nose and said it felt kinda gross, then switched topics like it was nothing. Someone else brings up the fan club that's all about her, so she just slams her foot down on the guy she's using as a chair and calls the whole group straight up wild. A heavier guy with glasses steps up, trying to get her to explain what she yelled at the Blue Dragon dorm interview spot. Yo-Reum just stares at him, straight up annoyed. He already gets what's going on, and honestly he can't help but notice how bad the guy's feet smell. It's like Yo-Reum can't even take him seriously with that stench in the air. The journalist leans in, kinda sneaky, wanting to know every detail. He's genuinely curious about why she picked those wild words out of everything she could have said. He walks up to her with this weird, greasy grin, kind of making it obvious he thinks she's up to something else. Yo-Reum leans in close, flashing a confident grin that's hard to ignore. She throws out a question that totally catches the journalist off guard, leaving him unsure how to react. Out of nowhere, her expression gets serious, like she's letting him know she's not actually mad, just messing with him. Still, she wants to know why he keeps messing around and dragging things out. The journalist narrowed his eyes at her, making it clear he could play rough if he wanted. He let her know journalism isn't some clean job, but if she just went along with what he wanted, things could stay chill between them. Yo-Reum clenched his shirt, basically letting him know she's done putting up with his nonsense. Gayul, on the other hand, tried to keep things chill and diffuse the tension. When the journalist spots the camera rolling, he leans into it, pushing her buttons even more. He knows this kind of stuff gets people watching, so he flashes a sneaky grin, ready to milk the moment for all the views he can. He lets her know that if she keeps acting stubborn, he's just going to write the article however he wants. He says he'll put out a story saying she tried to hook up with him, basically daring her to speak up or do anything about it. Yo-Reum just loses it. She's so mad she's ready to throw hands for real. She swings at him with everything she's got, and you can see Gayul totally freaking out in the background. Out of nowhere, someone grabs Yo-Reum's arm just before his punch lands on the journalist. Yoo-ji-tae shows up right when things start getting messy, and Gayul finally chills out when she sees her uncle. He looks at them, clearly annoyed, like he already knows they've been causing problems the second he walked in. Yo-Reum totally loses it, fired up and pointing out that the journalist messed things up. Yoo-ji-tae just picks her up and throws her over his shoulder like it's nothing, leaving her completely stunned. She starts pounding on his back, trying to make him let go, but he just stays stone cold and lets everyone know the interview's done. Yoo-ji-tae stared right at the journalist, eyes cold and serious. He basically let the guy know that writing about what just happened was a bad idea. The message was clear, don't even think about making this a headline. Yujite steps up, and out of nowhere everyone around him just freezes. The pressure he gives off is wild, like nobody can even move or breathe right. Even the journalist looks like he's about to pass out. Not even stopping, Yujite picks up Yo-Room and heads out, leaving everyone else stuck in place. The camera lens cracks under the pressure, and the journalist drops to the ground, embarrassed and scared stiff, realizing he's peed himself. Yo-Room stares down, stunned by how strong Yujit really is. Yuji-Tai and the girls dipped out from the busy crowd. He nudged Gail to pick up the pace so they wouldn't miss their first class. Juhi just stood there, low-key stunned, trying to figure out if her friend caught what went down. Her friend, looking a bit nervous, thought they should start looking for the girl's family right away. Juhi checked out Gail, throwing some shade about her body and really wondering where she even found those clothes. Even though Juhi was being salty, she couldn't help but notice how good-looking Gail actually was. The story moves to the lecture hall. Professor Kai is standing there, looking confident, letting everyone know he's the swordsmanship professor. He starts off saying the lessons about sword history and how you're supposed to respect the blade. Yo-Room, who's right by Yujitai, is already checked out. He thinks all this talk about attitude is pointless. He's just sitting there, wanting to skip straight to the fighting, not caring at all about the lecture. Yujitai was honestly surprised she didn't just storm off like he thought she would. But Yo-Ryum just shrugged it off, saying stuff like this didn't bother her. She'd already sat through way more boring shows just to see how they turn out. She finally lets it slip why she's been grinding so hard. She wants to take down that armored dude, Javier, with her own hands one day. She wonders why Yuji-Tai chose to come to this class with her instead of just tagging along with everyone else. But Yuji gives her a look, like she already knows what's up, almost daring her to say it out loud. Yo-Ryum rested her head on her hand, looking bored. She acted like she hadn't done anything wrong lately and was totally chill, pretending she was just minding her own business. Yujite brings up how she just tried to swing at the journalist, which gets her annoyed all over again. She's still salty, thinking the guy totally pushed her buttons and started it. Yo-Ryum leans over and just chills on Yujite's shoulder. He's not having it though and tells her to back off because he's feeling hot. Yo-Ryum flashes a sneaky grin, kind of joking in his head about why he's turning her down. She's thinking most guys would be all about this kind of touch, so maybe he's just low-key shy. Yujite just stays quiet, acting like Yo-Ryum isn't even there. She gets annoyed and starts pouting, kinda like a kid because he's being so distant. Yo-Ryum just dropped her head on the table, clearly overstudying. She was totally done with it. She started going off about how boring it was. Meanwhile, Yujite pointed out that studying was never meant to be fun anyway, but honestly, his mind wasn't even on the books. He was actually talking about her. Ryum figures that even someone who kidnaps people should at least have something going on, like they can't be boring. Yo-Ryum remembers thinking Yuji-Tai was off from the start. Something about him just didn't add up. She figured her days were about to get wild, packed with non-stop hype and good vibes. She lets him know she wasn't down to just fake being a family all boring like this. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tai thinks back to what happened on the way to school and figures that was more than enough excitement for one morning. Her eyes light up, showing she's all about the fight, the rush, and coming out on top. Stuff like this just doesn't matter to her. Professor Kai catches how fired up Yo-Ryum is to get into the fight and just gives a sly smile, like he already knows what's up. The professor's eyes started glowing green, and he mumbled to himself about knowing a solid way to fix that problem. After class, Professor Kai tells Yo-Ryum and her guardian to stick around. She shoots him a look, clearly annoyed and tense, not hiding how she feels about it. The scene moves over to the sports equipment warehouse. Yo-Ryum is there, scrubbing down some wooden swords, clearly annoyed and seriously frustrated. Yo-Ryum drops the tools and just loses it, thinking about how cleaning gets her more fired up than anything. She can't figure out why she's stuck doing this. She'd honestly rather take a beating. Meanwhile, Yuji-Tae isn't having any of it and tells her to quit whining and just get back to cleaning. Yo-Ryum comes up with a clutch idea. Just call Guardian, the janitor, over from home to handle it. The guy actually enjoys cleaning up and wiping stuff down, so it just makes sense. Yuji-Tai gets real and wants to know who's actually going to look after Ghoul if things go down. She's clearly annoyed, avoiding his eyes, basically thinking Blue can't handle anything. Yo-Ryum, trying to switch things up, wonders out loud if Yuji-Tai used to be good at studying back in the day. Yuji-Tai keeps cleaning as he replies, saying he never really had the chance to hit the books like everyone else. Yo-Ryum just laughed at him, basically calling him clueless. She figured he was just making excuses about not having time. Yuji-Tae kept it cool and explained he was just trying to survive since it was literally wartime back then. Yo-Ryum cuts the laughs and stares at him, trying to figure out if he's just messing around again. If he's actually telling the truth, she's stuck thinking about what that makes her. She looks over at him, cigarette hanging from her lips, eyes locked in, and just straight up asks if he thinks life is actually fun. Yugite just stares at Yoriem, barely moving, looking totally drained. He lets her know that life isn't as cool as she thinks it is. Yoriem hears his answer and just can't believe it. She's thinking, why would anyone want to live life on sleep mode like that? She walks right up to him, straight up confident, and makes it clear, if she had his insane power, there's no way she'd waste it being bored. She even teases him a bit, throwing shade and joking that maybe he's just tired of being so strong all the time. Yugite glanced down, his face showing all the stuff he's been through. He answered in a low voice, saying that, honestly, life just keeps moving and he's not about to quit now. Ryum just clowns on his answer, saying it sounds like something an emo kid would say. He doesn't want to hear any more of it, so he just tells her straight up to quit talking and get back to cleaning. Yorum was just sitting there messing around with the Rubik's Cube, looking pretty bored. The janitor, Guardian, was cleaning up nearby, totally focused on his job. In the back, Bomb and Ghoul were just chilling, stacking blocks and doing their own thing. The Guardian just sits there watching Yorim while she's trying to figure out the puzzle. His stare gets to her and she starts getting tense, messing up her focus. Yorim just loses it at the Guardian, totally fed up with him always hanging around. She snaps, basically telling him to back off since he keeps throwing her off her game. The Guardian gets all nervous and stutters out an apology, clearly scared of setting her off even more. Yoriam flops onto the couch, clearly bored out of her mind. The Guardian just watches her, kind of feeling sorry for her. Bomb, who's chilling right next to her, figures she's still annoyed about those reporters from earlier in the morning. Yorum shuts that down, saying she's just bored and hasn't had a good fight in ages, so things haven't been fun lately. Out of nowhere, Yorum calls Bomb Big Sister, and Bomb just freezes. She's not ready for that at all. The whole thing catches her off guard, and she can't even move. Bomb suddenly jolts up, looking like he just got caught off guard. He checks on Yorum, worried she might actually be sick or need a hospital after hearing that cute nickname. But Yorum just brushes it off and starts calling her you instead. Yorim sits across from BOM, looking serious. He's locked in, wanting to know what really keeps her going in life. Bomb didn't see that question coming, and it kind of threw him off. He leaned over and quietly told Gwal that Yorum finally hit puberty. Yorum, not having it, straight up yelled back at Bomb, letting her know she heard everything, and even called out Gwal for agreeing. Yorum lets Bomb know she actually went up to Yugi-T today and asked him what he thinks is fun in life. She relays his answer, her face totally serious, saying, life just keeps moving forward and you can't just quit. That's when Bomb catches on. She's talking just like the master. Yorim looks at that human and just gets it. He doesn't feel any joy. She's got this whole take that life's really about chasing those good moments, and honestly, if you're not feeling any of that, what's the point? She points out Gal, the yellow monkey she's always talking about, who basically lights up just from eating good food. For Gal, something as simple as a tasty snack can make her whole day. She points over at Guy Ul, who's just chilling with an old, beat-up teddy bear, looking pretty happy messing around with it. Bomb sits there thinking hard. He figures Yujitai probably just never mentioned what he actually likes. Yo-Ri-Um cuts her off, noticing how much she actually looks like him. Yo-Rum just calls her out, pointing out she's just as mysterious and hard to read as he is. Then, with a quick laugh that's got some sarcasm behind it, she basically says they're both super boring. Yo-Ri-Um steps up to Bomb and basically calls her out, wondering if she ever does anything exciting. Bomb's eyes light up, and he can't help but grin. Turns out there actually is something on his mind. Bomb suddenly mentions that she thinks Yuji Tai is actually kind of shy. Yo-Ri-Um hears this and just stares at her, completely thrown off and not buying it at all. Yo-Rum just laughs off what's being said, thinking it's straight up nonsense, and she's convinced the guy's a total psychopath just based on how he looks. At first, Balm was on the same page as her and thought the same thing. She catches herself, then smiles a little, realizing he's actually got this unexpectedly cute vibe. Yo-Rum saw Balm smile, and it seriously creeped her out. She couldn't shake off how weird it looked. Yoriam jumped at Balm and started tickling her for fun. Balm couldn't stop laughing and tried to wriggle away, but Yoriam just kept going. Ghoul just sat back, holding her doll, and watched them mess around. Out of nowhere, Gayul shot up the stairs, sprinting hard and calling for Unni, totally hyped. Gayul suddenly shares some wild news. Everyone in the Lair community is talking about Yo-Rum, and someone even set up a fan cafe just for her. Yo-Rum hears about it and doesn't get why anyone would make a fan cafe about her. She's not really into the idea. Gayul gets super anxious, tripping over her own words as she tries not to look lost, and Yorum just loses it, yelling right in her face and demanding to know what's going through her mind. Yujit was just finishing buttoning up his shirt when the door swung open and Bomb poked his head in, calling out for him. She waits until he's almost done getting dressed, then kind of awkwardly lets him know she wants to ask for something. He realized he hadn't heard her knocking, so after throwing on some clothes, he let her in and said sorry. Bomb walks in wearing her uniform, kind of nervous, and quietly asks if he's down to go with her today. Yuji Tai wasn't expecting that out of nowhere. She just called out that he's always hanging out with Yo-Riem and Ghoul anyway. Bomb gave him that pouty look, kind of calling him out for never hanging out with her, and he started scrambling to explain himself. Tae thinks back to all the wild stuff Yo-ryum did just because he loves fighting, plus how Gail never stops asking for snacks. All of that leaves him drained, so he just shuts down Bam's request right away. Yo-ryum walked in with Ghoul right behind her. Ghoul looked over at Bam and wondered why she wasn't at school. Before Bam could answer, Yo-ryum told her to just eat up first. Out of nowhere, Bam let everyone know she was actually planning to ask the master out on a date. Gail just stands there totally frozen, not really sure what to do next. Yo-ryum, on the other hand, figures she's probably just talking about having someone tag along to watch out for her. Gail pauses for a second, looking serious. He wants to know why the guy never hangs out with Bam, and even calls him out for always picking Yo-ryum and her instead. Tae just looks away when Bam shows up, acting like he didn't even notice him. Gail starts laughing while munching on her toast. She jokes about favoritism not being cool, but deep down, she gets why it happens. Gail starts telling everyone about her mom, how she's met tons of guys over the years, but only really liked a handful. Yarum listens and honestly thinks Gail's mom is pretty cool for that. Bam can't help but think about the guys she left behind, wondering if that means she's basically the same as them. Meanwhile, Tae tries to figure out what she's really getting at. Bam calls him out, saying he basically just took her and then ditched her, like someone who catches a fish and then doesn't even bother to take care of it. Bam just sits there, looking down, clearly left out and not really part of the group. Gail notices and honestly feels bad for her, thinking it's Tae's fault for how things turned out. Bam doesn't deny it either. She pretty much admits she's the last one still hanging around alone. Yo-ryum steps in, letting him know she gets why he's always tagging along, probably thinking something's about to go down. Still, she asks him to head out with Bam this time, saying she'll keep things chill and reminding him he can't keep an eye on them 24/7. Yujit takes a second to think it over, then nods and goes along with it. Bam just pulled Gale in for a big hug, grinning like he just won something huge, and tossed him a playful wink. The view jumps to a big hallway at the academy, packed with students just sitting around. People at work couldn't stop talking about how good-looking Yubam was, and how she absolutely crushed her interview with a perfect score. Everyone started thinking about her family, and one guy started making fun of the Yu family, calling them pretty low tier. Yujitai was sitting right behind them, catching every word they said. The teacher wraps up the etiquette lesson and lets everyone know it's time to start learning social dance. The students all looked down, kind of awkward, not wanting to make eye contact. The teacher noticed they were acting shy and wanted to know what was up. She lets them know they'll have to show up and dance at fancy parties since they're repping their families. She laughs, thinking it'd honestly be way more embarrassing if she just stood there not knowing what to do. The teacher tells everyone to team up with someone. Everybody started looking around, trying to find someone to team up with, but most of them were pretty quiet about it. The teacher could see everyone hesitating and told them to just go for it. Everyone at school is low-key confused about how Yubam's still single. Most guys figured she'd have a whole lineup by now, but there she is, just chilling by herself. Nobody really talks to Bam. The other students keep their distance, saying she gives off this vibe that makes it feel like you shouldn't even go near her. It's almost like there's this invisible wall around her and everyone just gets it. She's off limits. The professor looks around and spots Yubam standing alone, the only one without a partner. She kind of laughs it off, looking a bit nervous, and owns up to not really being one of the popular ones with the other students. The professor, noticing how good-looking Gently is, decides to team up with her personally. Bam catches her off guard and asks if her guardian could team up with her. Meanwhile, Yujitai just sits there totally frozen, not reacting at all in the back among parents section. The professor, kind of caught off guard, says yes while stumbling over his words. Bam doesn't waste a second, she just takes off, sprinting straight at Yujitai way faster than anyone expected. The professor's just left standing there, pretty much stunned at how quick she is. Yujitai gets up from his seat and Bam reaches out, basically telling him to hurry up. Yujitai looked a little annoyed as he owned up to not being good at dancing. Bam stares at him, eyes glassy and kind of desperate, hoping he won't just dip and leave her stuck like this. Yujitai just lets out a deep sigh, pretty much giving in. As the lesson kicks off, the professor tells everyone to pair up, grab each other's hands, and start moving slow together while he counts. Yujitai steps right in front of Bam. She glances off to the side, all shy, while he's standing there, barely keeping it together. Bam catches on that he's acting confused and gives him a sneaky look, kind of teasing him about whether he's too embarrassed to touch her. But he just shuts it down, staying cool and acting like it's no big deal. Bam grabs Yujit's hand and doesn't let go, catching him off guard. Bam lets him know that just holding hands doesn't always mean you instantly catch feelings. He gets where she's coming from and shows he gets it. Her face suddenly got real serious, like she wasn't messing around. She gave him this look that pretty much said, don't even think about slacking off on the dance, since that could mess up her grades too. They jump right in, syncing up with the music as they move together in the center of the dance hall. Bomb notices her hands are sweating a lot, and she can't help but focus on how nervous she is right now. She sees he's seriously tense, not just in his hands, but sweating down his back and chest, and starts to wonder what's got him so worked up. Right then, Bomb started thinking about how ripped Yuji Tae probably looked under his shirt. That made her go red in the face, super embarrassed. Bomb stumbles out of nowhere and almost eats it, but Yuji Tae reacts fast, grabbing her just in time. Bomb and Yuji Tae end up face to face, super close. Out of nowhere, Bomb's nose just starts bleeding. Yuji Tae notices it right away and stays chill, pointing it out. Outside the hall, Bomb is chilling with some juice, a tissue shoved up her nose. He looked at her, kind of stressed, and asked if she was really okay or needed a hospital. She seemed caught off guard, not even sure what he was talking about, and let him know she was all good now. Yuji finds it weird, she's bleeding, but didn't even hit anything. Bomb just looks away, acting all nervous, and says she has no clue what's going on. Bomb flashes a quick smile and switches topics, acting like what matters most is that his dance moves were way better than she thought they'd be. She shoots him a sharp look, clearly curious if he's picked up those dance moves somewhere before. Yujit flashes back to a night where he's out on the dance floor with a different girl. He's got the moves down, surprising her since she expected him to mess up. He's not satisfied though, he's set on leveling up even more. Yugi-Tae snapped back to real life, not even looking at Bomb as he walked away. He just brushed her off, pretending he had no idea how to dance. Bomb gives him a look, kind of sizing him up while she sips her juice. She wonders if he's got anything going on after school, but he just shrugs it off and says he doesn't. Bomb quickly pulled her hair back, looking hyped, and signaled for him to come along and do something fun with her. Out of nowhere, the story jumps to Moscow. There's this old building sitting under the moon, and it's actually a research lab run by the demon group called Invisibility. Red lights flash all over the place as alarms go off. Researchers are sprinting everywhere, totally freaking out, slipping on blood that splattered across the floor. One of them just loses it, clearly done with how messed up everything's gotten. A woman with some wild, almost devilish features took off, sprinting down the hall. Her mind raced, trying to figure out where that monster even came from. She was straight up freaked out, not sure if she could even escape whatever just showed up out of nowhere. She runs up to a locked door, heart pounding, and it hits her. The power she's using won't cut it if the intruder gets through. She grabs her comm, hoping headquarters picks up fast. Out of nowhere, Yuji Tae, dressed in all black, popped up right behind her, looking serious and blocking her path. He wanted to know why she was rushing off like that. The researcher stands frozen, barely able to steady herself, trying to figure out what this stranger is after. Yuji Tae stared at her, his eyes glowing bright blue. He wanted to know if his master was searching for something, especially where Prototype X, the command-type transcendent demon, was hiding. The researcher completely shuts down and won't say a word, making it clear she'd rather die than spill the secret. That's when the shadow steps up and grabs her by the neck. Yuji Tae stood there, shadows closing in all around him. In that moment, he knew that when someone's about to die, demons can't hide who they really are. He locks his eyes on the researcher, noticing how the guy's face shifts weirdly, almost like a puppet that's lost control, especially when the pain goes way past what anyone could handle. UGT's shadow reached out and caught the researcher by the neck, pretty much daring her in the creepiest way to go dance by herself under the moonlight. Ujit stood over the body, his shadow stretching out behind him. Blood still dripped from his hand, showing he was the one who just finished everything. The shadow sends a message straight to his original body's mind, letting him know that Prototype X isn't just a regular unit anymore, it's already been switched to display mode and hauled over to the Invisibility Organization HQ. Yugi Tae's shadow notices right away that Prototype X looks different this time. Instead of how things went down before, X shows up as a girl trapped inside a water tank. Yuji Tae, hiding out of sight, checks and sees that the researcher who got taken out is named Vera. Yuji Tae tells his clone to switch things up, look like Vera, and sneak into the Invisibility HQ. The plan is simple: figure out who X really is. The copy locks in and gets started on the mission. Meanwhile, over at a clothing store, Yuji Tae is just chilling, sitting around and waiting. Yuji can't stop thinking about how risky Prototype X is. This demon's got this wild power where it can pull a bunch of demon minds together, all in one spot. Demons and chaos start to show up in his mind, and the longer it sticks around, the nastier and more intense everything gets. Yugi Tae thinks back and realizes he always went straight for Prototype X first every time he reset. But this round, stuff isn't adding up, and finding Prototype X is way harder than before. He fires up the Vintage Clock Authority, trying to pick up any bad vibes drifting in from way out past Providence. He's on the hunt for whatever messed with the world's timeline. He squints, finally catching on that X switching up who he is all links back to that same bad energy the Guardian talked about. He tightens his fists, locked in on the idea that nothing's gonna mess with his routine. If anything tries to throw off his day, he's ready to wipe it out, no hesitation. Bomb suddenly calls out from behind the curtain, cutting him off. She nudges him to check it out, so he looks over at her, eyebrows raised, not sure what's up. Baum steps out rocking a black swimsuit, the kind that really stands out, with a see-through cover tossed over it. She flashes a smile, checking if he thinks it looks good on her. Eugene glances off, trying to figure out what she's up to. She just laughs it off, super upbeat, and says summer's almost here, so she was thinking about getting one. She waves him over, telling him to step past the curtain since he can't see much from where he's standing. Eugene thinks back to when she mentioned doing something fun earlier, and he wonders if this is the prank she was talking about. Baum stuck out her lower lip, making it obvious she was actually enjoying herself. Yujitai looks over and tries to figure out what's running through her mind, making it clear she really shouldn't mess with him or set him off. They head out of the store and walk side by side. Baum can't help but mess with him, saying he was actually hoping to see her. He keeps shutting that down, but she's not letting up, still joking around and pushing his buttons the whole way. Baum was in a good mood, humming to herself as she checked out an outfit and wondered if she should just buy it. Meanwhile, Yugi Tai, not really into the whole shopping vibe, basically let her know that if she was done messing around, it was time to head home. Baum gets real with him, saying they actually showed up just to grab some gifts for the kids. That catches Yugi Tai off guard. He starts thinking about what those gifts could be. Baum noticed Ghoul's teddy bear was totally worn out, so she decided she'd grab a new one for her. She also planned to pick up some gifts for the other kids while she was at it. Yugite wondered what BOM had planned for the others. She explained that Gaiul was all about shopping for clothes and didn't really care about anything else. BOM decided she'd get her a solid wallet, so next time Gaiul hung out with friends, she wouldn't feel left out. So when he brings up Yo Room, Baum tells him she already asked her the day before. Yo Room had mentioned there was something she wanted because she spotted it in a movie. Baum thinks the request is kind of weird. Baum tells her to go check out the gifts for Ghoul and Yoriyum and says he'll handle picking out Ghoul's present. Yujite's cool with the plan and jumps on it right away. Yujite heads out and Baum just stands there watching him go. He's low-key stressing, not sure if letting Yujite handle it by himself is the right move. At Toy and Toy, a girl working the counter just sat there looking bored out of her mind. The whole place felt quiet with barely anything going on. Yuji Tai walks into the shop carrying a teddy bear. The employee checks him out, guessing he's probably in his late 20s or early 30s. With his height and build, he could easily be a model or maybe even in the military. His face is good looking too, the kind that stands out. The employee spots him rolling in solo, no girl with him, and just by looking at the guy, it's obvious he's got zero clue about kid toys. She spots an easy target and her whole vibe changes. Her eyes light up and she gets this sneaky look. She figures this guy is probably the kind who just hands out cash without thinking, so she suddenly acts super friendly and starts asking how old his kid is. Yugi Tae lets her know she's about 4 years old while holding on to the bear. The employee claps her hands, saying kids this age are always the cutest, then asks if she's his daughter. He shakes his head and lets her know she's just a kid he happens to know. The employee figures out he's the kid's uncle and gives him props for actually picking out a gift himself. He says most uncles don't do that and lets him know the kid's going to be hyped about it. She clowns him for not knowing how to pick stuff, and Yuji Tai just shoots her a confused look, like he can't figure out what her deal is. She kicked off her marketing plan, swapping out dolls for some role-playing toys. She grabbed a toy stethoscope and showed it to him, pointing out how playing like this with your kid really brings you closer together. She hands him the hospital game set and throws in a deal. If he grabs it with some other sets, he gets 10% off. Yuji Tae starts picturing Jewel dressed up as a nurse and just says yes without even thinking. The employee catches that reaction and feels like he totally won. Yugi Tae shows up, arms stacked with a mountain of boxes and gifts. The employee tries to calm him down, saying all this stuff looks like a lot, but it's important for the kid to grow up right. He promises Yugi Tae won't regret going all out like this. At the checkout, she looks over and checks if he's paying with card. He nods and says he's got it. She freezes for a second when she spots the black card, the kind only the top 1% get. Now it all clicks why he just grabbed everything she suggested without even thinking twice. Suddenly, she starts seeing him in a whole new way. Every time she glances over, he just looks better and better, and she can't help but notice all the things that make him stand out. She even catches herself wondering if he's taken, and the idea of making a move crosses her mind. She awkwardly tries to bring up if he's got a girlfriend, barely making eye contact and looking super nervous. Out of nowhere, Baum showed up, grabbed his arm, and called him Appa, totally surprised about all the stuff he bought. The employee noticed and looked kind of let down, probably thinking Baum was his girlfriend. Baum looks at all the stuff he picked up and can't figure out why he grabbed such random things, especially since the plan was just to get a doll for Ghoul. Yuji Tae keeps it simple and just points out that, yeah, it was supposed to be a doll. Right away, the employee picks up on the situation and figures out that she's his little sister. The worker tries to smooth things over, saying the kid probably just isn't used to toys yet, but Baum jumps in before she can finish. Baum's expression gets serious, and out of nowhere, the whole vibe around her turns intense. She cuts the employee off, making it clear she already said Ghoul isn't into toys like that. Baum grabs a plain teddy bear, thinking this one'll work. Baum points out that this doll looks just like the one Gaiul used to have, so she won't get thrown off by it. Yugi-tai owns up and says he was planning to grab that exact doll from the start. Bomb walked up to the counter and checked if the employee, who seemed pretty cheerful, would give her a VIP discount on the bear. Night hits, and inside the house, Jiol and Yorium totally lose it when they spot the gifts. Their excitement goes off the charts, echoing through the place. A new brown bear showed up, chilling right by some fancy gift bags on the floor. Jiol couldn't stop smiling as she spun around, clutching her new wallet like it was the coolest thing ever. She really loved Bomb and Yuji for hooking her up, especially since she almost didn't buy it. Off to the side, Yorum stood with her gift bag, just watching. Jiol's eyes lit up when she checked out her new bear, totally hyped about it. Guile, after getting a doll, starts thinking about what Yorium ended up with. That gets Yorium wondering about her own present too, both of them kind of curious and waiting to see what's next. Yoram pulled up just like she wanted, holding handcuffs and a whip. She had this wild, almost scary grin on her face that made it clear she wasn't messing around. Her gift? Straight up adult toys. Yori calls out to Gaul, messing around and telling her to get over here and try something. But Gaul is totally freaked out, backing away fast and not even thinking about getting closer. Gale completely loses it, yelling and freaking out as Yorum tries to get her hands cuffed. Yujitai chilled out, holding little Gael on his lap. She was hugging her new doll, totally happy with it, and he was just soaking up the peace. Out of nowhere, Bam walked over with a small box, handing it to Yujitai like he wanted him to keep it too. Yuji-tae opened the box and spotted a navy blue tie sitting inside. Bomb let him know she picked it out since she'd seen him rocking the same tie every class. Bomb smiles at him, all calm, and lets him know she's got plans to buy him a whole suit once she's making her own cash. He just nods and keeps it low-key, appreciating it. Yuji-tae wanted to know if she actually picked up something for herself like he suggested. She told him she did, so he knew she listened this time. He asked what she picked up, and Bomb just flashes this mysterious grin like she's got some secret plan. She tells him he'll have to wait and see, definitely keeping him guessing. A few weeks later, the janitor came by and unlocked the door to the room. The guardian walks in and sees Yuji-tae already dressed, clearly getting ready to head out. Yuji-tae looks serious, letting him know he'll be gone for 3 days. Before leaving, he makes it clear the guardian should look after Gyujul while he's away. The guardian wonders if Yuji-tae's heading out somewhere far. Yuji-tae nods and says Yori-um's coming with him. Meanwhile, Yori-um's just barely waking up, still half asleep and sprawled out on the bed. The view jumps to a big, crowded square packed with students, and that's when the event finally kicks off. The event kicks off as a test run where students have to take on demons. Everyone's rolling in with their squads, surrounded by all this next-level tech everywhere. Out of nowhere, this massive purple gate pops up. Turns out it's the start of a survival combat event where martial arts students get tossed into a virtual dungeon. They're stuck in there for 2 nights and 3 days, all about testing their skills and trying to make it out. By the rules, students have to stick together in groups of 3, and their guardian is the one calling the shots. Turns out, this job is known as operating. Real superhuman squads actually have this spot when they go out to fight monsters. Yugi-tae shows up with a headset on, making sure it fits right, looking ready to take control as the operator for this simulation. Yorum looks around at the other students, not really impressed. He can't help but think these guys probably haven't seen any real action before. Yuji-tae gave her a heads up, letting her know things were about to get real and there wouldn't be any chill time. She just brushed it off like it was no big deal. Yuji-tae lets her know this mission isn't something you just handle alone, so she needs to squad up. But she's stubborn. She's only down to team up if it's with someone she actually vibes with. 2 students, a guy and a girl, walked up to Yorum. They looked kind of nervous, not really making eye contact. The dude quietly asked if she wanted to team up with them just in case she hadn't found a group yet. Yorium totally loses it, snapping at them and basically telling them to bounce. But then Yuji-tae steps in, wanting to know who they are. The guy says his name's Hisaki Sojuro, and the girl introduces herself as Kim Ji-in. Both students give a deep bow, showing serious respect and basically saying they'll put in the effort and not drag anyone down. Yoram isn't having it though. She goes off on them again, calling them weak and telling them to get out, just like before. Yuji-tae just dropped a single word through his headset, basically letting everyone know he was down with the plan. Meanwhile, Yorium totally lost it. She wasn't having any of it and made it clear she never agreed to take whatever was coming her way. Yuji-tae just stared at Yorium straight-faced, pretty much telling her to leave if she's got a problem. Yorium didn't really want to argue, but the whole thing seriously bugged her. In front of her, Hisaki and Jin looked super tense, barely holding it together. Yorium made it clear if they messed things up for her in the fight, they'd regret it big time. Hisaki doesn't get mad at all. He just mumbles out a thank you. Out of nowhere, though, someone clocks him hard from behind. The hit's so rough that he yells out and grabs his head, totally caught off guard. This blonde dude with that classic troublemaker look showed up and started messing with Hisaki, basically calling him a loser and bringing up how he'd already warned Hisaki not to cross his path or else. Hisaki stands there shaking, scared out of his mind, and says sorry to the guy who just went off on him. Kim Ji-in just stands there, totally unfazed, not saying a word. The guy causing trouble notices how she's not reacting at all, and starts questioning her silence, especially since her boyfriend is the one trying to smooth things over for her. The delinquent just reaches out and yanks Ji-in's hair, not even caring. Ji-in doesn't back down though, she just stares him down, not saying anything, staying tough. Johnny's buddy tries to get him to chill, pointing out that there are parents around watching. But Johnny just laughs it off, acting like adults never pay attention to kids who show up alone. Johnny kept messing with the girl, bugging her to move her bangs since he said she looked kind of down. She tried to push him off, but her attempts were pretty weak. Room suddenly stepped in, giving Johnny a serious stare and asking what he meant by singles. Johnny didn't expect her to call him out like that, so he was caught off guard. Johnny spots the girl in front of him and instantly clocks who she is. In his head, he tags her as that wild girl from the Blue Dragon dorms. Yeah, her, Yuriam. Yo, Realm asks again, this time sounding way more serious, really wanting to know what the word singles actually means. Sweat started running down Johnny's face. He couldn't stop thinking about how his family elder always told him to stay away from Yo Room from the Yu family, especially because she was known for some dangerous skills. Johnny tries to smooth things over, laughing awkwardly as he tells her that singles just mean students without anyone to look out for them. He throws in a smug comment as they walk off, pretty much calling them broke nobodies without anyone to back them up. Yo Room finally gets why her team keeps falling apart. She's heated, barely holding back her annoyance since she got stuck teaming up with people she thinks are just freeloaders. Johnny just drops his hand on Yo Rahim's shoulder, not caring at all about being disrespectful. He clearly thinks it's wild that someone as tough as her is stuck teaming up with a bunch of scrubs. Johnny tells Yo Rahim she can join their crew, promising they'll make space for her. His boys hear this and instantly get annoyed. Johnny switches gears pretty quick, realizing that even if she's kind of wild, her strength makes her someone he can actually count on. Johnny sees Yo Rahim staying quiet and just assumes she's thinking hard about the offer. He figures she's kinda like him, so he decides he's gonna try to win her over. Out of nowhere, Yo Room just swings and lands a straight-up brutal punch right on Johnny's face. Everyone, Johnny's crew and Yo Room's team, just freezes. Nobody saw her snapping like that coming, and they can't believe what just happened. Yo Ri brushed off her shoulder and shot Johnny a straight-up icy look while he held his face, hurting. She stared him down hard, letting him know she wasn't messing around. She shoots him a deadly glare, totally annoyed that he dared to put his grubby hand on her shoulder. In her head, she's questioning who even told him that was cool, and if he actually thinks they're tight like that. Johnny loses it. He gets right up in her face, yelling and throwing out all kinds of curses, calling her out for acting like she thinks she's better than him. Yo Ri suddenly lets out a scream that could seriously make anyone freeze. She basically warns him that if he shows up again, he's done for. Meanwhile, he just keeps walking off, tossing out his own threats like he's not even fazed. Her teammates froze, eyes wide, as they saw her stare at Johnny with this wild, almost scary look. Meanwhile, Yuji Tai just stood off in the distance, totally chill and unbothered by the chaos. The loudspeaker suddenly blasts, grabbing everyone's attention in the room. The whole place goes quiet as a massive gate shows up, and the person in charge steps forward. Professor Quan Kite, who runs the hands-on demon fighting class, steps up and gets ready to break down how the simulation's gonna go. He lets everyone know they're gonna split up into teams, and each squad will kick things off from their own spot inside the simulation arena. He wraps up by saying they'll track everything: activity, kills, deaths, even how much damage someone deals. All the student rankings will update live so everyone can see who's on top. Professor Quan Kitai breaks down an important rule for the simulation. If a student dies, they'll come back to life somewhere else after 3 hours. This basically means everyone has to stay on their toes. Everyone finally found out the name of the virtual dungeon they'd be training in. It's called Ant Tunnel. Professor Quan Kite wrapped up his speech, told everyone good luck, then sent them off to get started on the mission. Yo Ri and her crew walked through the gate and straight into the virtual dungeon. She looked around, clearly taken aback by how real everything felt. Yo Ri looks fired up, ready to start throwing hands with whoever's around, but Ji-in steps in, clearly concerned, and holds her back. He points out that she doesn't even know where the other teams are at. Yo Ri just shrugs and says they'll probably run into them if they keep moving. Ji-in isn't having it though. He looks annoyed and points out there's no way he can keep up with her speed or energy. Ji-in gets real about how charging in solo could get them caught from behind, but Yo Ri just laughs it off, thinking she's basically admitting she can't handle it. Ji-in tries to get everyone on the same page and talk strategy, but Yo Ri just cuts her off, not even letting her finish. He calls her out for being scared and tells the others to just watch his back while he takes care of everything up front. Things start to get real when Ji-in points out it's all about the team, not just going solo. Yoriam's eyes light up, and everyone can tell she's mad, throwing out a stare that could freeze anybody. She basically lets them know she only took them and her squad in because she felt sorry for them, so nobody should be acting cocky now. Meanwhile, Hisaki steps in, trying to chill everyone out before it gets any worse. Yuji Tai's voice breaks through the noise, getting everyone's attention. Yujit gets serious and wants to know if there's a set number of teams they need to take out. Then he wants the details, asking exactly how many teams they want him to put them behind. Jian just freezes, realizing there's no way this could happen. No operator would just give up their spot like that. Meanwhile, Yoriam, hyped up and a bit ruthless, starts pushing for an explanation, but then it clicks what Jian is really planning. Yori steps up, totally fired up, ready to take on anyone in her way. She's got that look like she's here to wipe out every team she sees, no hesitation. The story jumps to a different spot in the dungeon. Johnny's got his hand over his nose, which is all puffed up, and he's clearly annoyed by how much it still hurts. His co-workers put all the blame on him, saying he was reckless for getting involved with Yoriam, even though everyone told him not to. He tries to explain himself, saying he was just trying to be nice and had no clue she was actually that wild. Johnny's co-worker gave him a look, not really buying that he'd kick someone out just to let Yoriam in. Johnny got super nervous and tried to play it off, saying he was just checking out how she'd react. Johnny's got his eyes on her, and he's not letting this go. As soon as he corners her, he's ready to get even for what she pulled. Out of nowhere, he catches a voice from up top copying what he just said. It totally throws him off and freaks him out. Yoriam drops out of the sky, moving crazy fast. He's got his sword out and just stares the guy down with this wild grin, like he's daring him to actually go through with it. Yoriam just launched himself at Johnny and landed a brutal kick right to his face. Johnny's HP bar tanked fast, and the whole squad heard the impact. Everyone knew something wild just went down. Johnny's co-workers totally freak out when they realize they're getting ambushed. Everyone grabs their weapons, getting hyped up to defend themselves. Ryom dropped down, landing in a squat. He looked at them, clearly not buying that anyone could call this mess a real fight. She looks up with this wild, evil grin and her eyes straight up light up red. She lets everyone know this isn't some normal fight, it's a total one-sided hunt, and she pretty much calls them dogs.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Webtoon Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.